Chapter 4107. As a heavyweight godly venerable rank force, the Monorigin divine sect was naturally not afraid of the Myriad Law Academy. However, if one side was unreasonable and did something that crossed the line, they would need to make a statement to extinguish the anger of the other side. After all, they were in the wrong. If they did not make a statement, would they be hinting to the other party that they could attack the people from the Monorigin divine sect? If that was the case, it would be a mess. Although the Monorigin divine sect was not afraid of trouble and often took the initiative to stir up trouble, it did not mean they were willing to be enemies with the Myriad Law Academy. The Myriad Law Academy had always been a special existence among the heavyweight godly venerable rank forces. Many people even suspected it had the protection of a supreme expert. The reason for this suspicion was that the Myriad Law Academy had fought two major godly venerable rank forces in the history of the Mystic Gangland. However, the Myriad Law Academy had emerged unscathed. It was said that both times, the supreme expert behind the godly venerable rank forces had shown up. Under such circumstances, the Myriad Law Academy had emerged unscathed. Was it because the supreme expert had shown mercy? If it was only one time, it might be the case. However, if it was the same both times, it was somewhat thought-provoking. For this reason, the Myriad Law Academy's position in the Mystic Gangland had always been special. Although it was only a heavyweight godly venerable rank force, the other heavyweight godly venerable rank forces did not dare to treat it as an ordinary heavyweight godly venerable rank force. Let's wait patiently. I don't usually use my law clones anyway, so it doesn't matter where they are. During this period of time, don't slack off on your cultivation. Although it can't be said that the higher your cultivation, the greater the benefits of the trip to the ultimate powerhouse's ruins, there are only benefits to being stronger, and there are no disadvantages. You've already mastered the Tao of Control, so you should be able to further improve your mastery of the Law of Time. After all, you're an expert in the Law of Space. In the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven, Yang Yuchen said to Duan Lingtian. Of course, they were all just nomological law avatars here. Their true bodies were in the Myriad Law Academy in the Mystic Gangland. What Yang Yuchen did not know was that although Duan Lingtian was most proficient in the Law of Space, his attainments in the Law of Time were inferior. This was because his master, Feng Qingyang, had obtained the inheritance of a supreme powerhouse in the past. The supreme powerhouse who had left behind the inheritance was a powerhouse who specialized in the laws of time. At that time, Duan Lingtian had stayed in a place similar to the law chamber left behind by that supreme master for a period of time. Not only had he comprehended the law of time, but his attainments were also not low. I understand, third senior brother. Next, I will cultivate in peace until you tell me to go to the ruins. Duan Lingtian naturally knew that it was useless for him to be anxious. The people from the Mono Yuan spirit cult hadn't come yet. Most likely, they wouldn't come in a short time. Rather than spending time on this, it was better to cultivate in peace. Furthermore, with Yang Yuchen around, there was nothing to worry about. In the end, I still have to beg third senior brother. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. In fact, before he left the Pure Sun sect, he had already made preparations to guard against the Monarch spirit cult, but he never thought that the people of the Monarch spirit cult would be so shameless. After those who were related to him had gone into hiding, they even attacked those who were from the same sect as him. They even killed the people from the Mono Yuan spirit cult. The Mono Yuan spirit cult. I'll settle this score with you sooner or later. At this moment, Duan Lingtian had another goal that he was eager to accomplish. His biggest goal in the past was to find his wife, Kerr, and reunite with Kerr. Then, he would bring Kerr away from the divine offering land and reunite with his family. In the next few months, the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven was peaceful. No one dared to cause trouble. As for Duan Lingtian, after cultivating for a period of time, he was finally awakened by his third senior brother, Yang Yuchen, who had returned to the inner palace. Little junior brother, we can enter the relic of the supreme powerhouse now. The ruins of the supreme powerhouse. In fact, Duan Lingtian had not been cultivating for a long time. It was not that he did not work hard, but he was distracted by distracting thoughts and could not calm down to cultivate. After all, What he encountered this time was no ordinary matter. Many lives had withered because of him. Most importantly, there was nothing he could do. He could not do anything about it. He knew it was the Mono-Yuan spirit cult's doing, but there was nothing he could do. If I don't vent my anger, I won't be able to calm down to cultivate. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian walked out of his room and met Yang Yuqin, who was waiting outside. Third senior brother, where's the ruins of the supreme powerhouse? It's in the Myriad Law Palace. Yang Yuqin smiled and said, to be precise, there's another independent plane right next to the independent plane where we're located. Speaking of which, our independent plane is connected to that independent plane. However, it's extremely difficult to enter that independent plane without destroying it. Therefore, we usually enter from outside. Upon hearing Yang Yuqin's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel shocked. The ruins of the supreme powerhouse were right next to them? Third senior brother, are you here to bring little junior brother out to play? Suddenly, the figure of a young girl appeared like a ghost between Duan Lingtian and Yang Yuqin, and she looked at Yang Yuqin with excitement as she asked. The young girl was none other than Duan Lingtian's fourth senior sister, Lang Chun. No. Upon seeing Lang Chun, Yang Yuqin smiled awkwardly. I'm here to bring little junior brother to the ruins of the supreme powerhouse. Junior sister, I think you should stay in your room and cultivate normally. Otherwise, you can stay in this field and comprehend the Tao of control and the order of time. Although you can't enter the ruins of the supreme powerhouse now, you can still benefit from it since it's right next to the ruins. Yang Yuqin then looked at Duan Lingtian. How old is your little junior brother? He's already mastered the Tao of control. As for you, you haven't even mastered the embryonic form. As a senior sister, don't you feel ashamed? Yang Yuqin smiled. Upon hearing Yang Yuqin's words, Lang Chunwon was stunned. She then looked at Duan Lingtian with her eyes wide open. Little junior brother has already mastered the Tao of control? Really? Third senior brother, you're not lying to me, right? The Tao of control is very difficult to master. Lang Chunwon's tone was full of doubt. No, little junior brother, I trust you more. Tell me, have you mastered the Tao of control? I don't believe third senior brother's words. While Yang Yuqin looked helpless, Duan Lingtian looked at Lang Chunwon with a smile. Fourth senior sister, I mastered the Tao of control by chance. It doesn't mean anything even if I mastered it earlier than you. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Lang Chunwon also got a definite answer. Her eyes flickered for a moment, and she did not speak for a long time. No one knew what she was thinking. After a while, she muttered, I can't be worse than little junior brother. As a senior sister, I should be a role model for little junior brother. Third senior brother, little junior brother, I'm going to cultivate now. I won't come out of seclusion until I master the embryonic form of the Tao of control. Lang Chunwon came and went like the wind. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared before Duan Lingtian's eyes, showing her childish nature. Yang Yuqin had long been used to this. As for Duan Lingtian, he was not used to it at first, but he was gradually getting used to it. Little junior brother. Suddenly, Yang Yuqin seemed to have noticed something. He glanced at Duan Lingtian. Why do I feel like your aura is a little restless? Is your cultivation not going well? As an ultimate god expert, Yang Yuqin could clearly sense the restlessness in Duan Lingtian's aura, even if he did not deliberately check on Duan Lingtian. There's resentment in my heart that can't be resolved. Seeing that Yang Yuqin had noticed, Duan Lingtian did not hide it. He smiled bitterly and said, Fortunately, my 1,000-year tribulation is still early. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be affected by the inner demon. Even if I can get through it, I'm afraid I'll be injured. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to pass the heavenly tribulation now. It could be said that he could easily shatter the heavenly tribulation and pass the heavenly tribulation. However, if the inner demon came, he would be injured even though he was supposed to be unscathed. Because of what happened in the lower dimensions? Yang Yuqin frowned slightly. Actually, you don't have to take it to heart. What's done is done. There will come a day when the truth comes to light. When that time comes, I'll get justice for you. Yang Yuqin's eyes flashed with a cold light. When that time comes, if I don't have the ability, I'll look for the palace master. If the palace master still can't do it, I'll look for first senior sister and second senior brother. The moment Yang Yuqin's words left his mouth, apart from feeling touched, Duan Tian was also shaken. Based on what his third senior brother said, even if the first senior sister and second senior brother were not stronger than the palace master, they were not weak. At least, they were not weaker than his third senior brother. Third senior brother. Are first senior sister and second senior brother also medium ultimate gods? Duan Tian couldn't restrain the curiosity in his heart and couldn't help but ask. Second senior brother is a medium ultimate god, Yang Yuqin said. As for first senior sister, I'm not sure if she has broken through yet. Under normal circumstances, she should have broken through. However, that's not necessarily true. The higher ultimate god realm is not that simple. All in all, you just have to remember that you're a member of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace's internal branch. The internal branch is not that easy to bully. You want to bully the internal branch? Not even a giant ultimate god force can do that, let alone a small monorigin divine sect. A cold light flashed in Yang Yuqin's eyes again as he finished speaking. At that moment, Duan Tian had a new understanding of the internal branch. At the same time, he felt that joining the internal branch of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace was the wisest decision. Let's go. Yang Yuqin took Duan Tian and left the independent dimension where the internal branch was located. He then made a series of more complicated hand seals in the void not far away. A moment later, an open black hole that was constantly rotating appeared in front of Duan Tian. Chapter 4108. Whoosh. Whoosh. The ceaselessly rotating black hole was like a black whirlpool that emitted waves of terrifying suction force. Even though Duan Tian was far away, he could still feel the suction force that assaulted his face. Although the Ultimate Expert's Relic is also an independent dimension, it's different from the independent dimension where the internal palace is. It's an independent dimension that hasn't been developed or modified. Of course, there's no way to develop or modify it. Or rather, there's no way to develop or modify it. Perhaps the ultimate experts have the means, but at least a higher ultimate god wouldn't. Yang Yuqin paused for a moment. He did not avoid Duan Tian's shocked gaze as he looked at Duan Tian. There have been many higher ultimate gods in the history of the inner palace. After you enter, look for your own opportunities. Although I've been there before, I can't give you any pointers. Everyone who enters the Ultimate Expert's Relic will see a different scene. Eldest senior sister, second senior brother, and I have suspected this before. It's probably because of you. Or rather, it's more like a nightmare world. At least, the places that the three of us enter are very familiar to us. As for looking for opportunities in there, just do as you wish. There's no need to be too deliberate. Duan Tian was greatly surprised by Yang Yuqin's words. He did not expect the Ultimate Expert's Relic to be such a unique existence. Before this, he thought that before he entered, his third senior brother would share his experience with him so that he would be able to gain the most from it. However, it seemed like he had thought too much. It turned out that different people would see different scenes in the Ultimate Expert's Relic. Moreover, according to his third senior brother, it was a scene that he was familiar with. The place of the outer fringe? Duan Tian thought to himself. At this moment, Yang Yuqin's voice sounded again. Little junior brother, after you enter, you don't have to think about anything else. Just follow your heart. You'll be at a disadvantage if you think too much. You just have to remember two things. The ultimate expert who left behind the Ultimate Expert's Relic was skilled in the law of time. At the same time, he comprehended the Tao of control of the four Tao of heaven and earth. Inside, you just need to focus on these 2 points. Also, although the slaughter inside won't really kill you, every time you die, you'll have to start all over again. Moreover, he might have started from the starting point of another line. Try your best not to die. If you die 3 times, you'll be forcefully sent out. Speaking of which, the reason why fourth junior sister didn't even manage to grasp the embryonic form was also because she quickly died 3 times and was sent out. The scenes that appear in the ruins of the supreme powerhouses are all targeted at the heart of the person who enters them. For example, If you enter the ruins and don't have a greater obsession, you might see the people of the Monorigin Divine sect that you've seen before. If you see them, kill them if you can. If you can't, run. Try not to die. Judging from the long history of our inner palace, the longer we stay in the ultimate expert's ruins, the more benefits we'll get. Among our generation of inner palace disciples, eldest senior sister and I have stayed in there the longest, and we've both mastered the Tao of control. Second senior brother is slightly lacking. Fourth junior sister is even worse. After listening to Yang Yuchen's words, Duan Lingtian had a rough idea of what was going on. The longer one stayed in the ultimate expert's ruins, the more benefits they would get. Perhaps fourth senior sister had not stayed in there for long. She did not even manage to grasp the embryonic form of the Tao of control. Second senior brother had not stayed in there for long, and had only grasped the embryonic form of the Tao of control. As for eldest senior sister and third senior brother, they had stayed in there for a long time and had grasped the Tao of control. Every time someone enters the ultimate expert's ruins, they'll need to rest and replenish the special spirit energy hidden in there. However, even if the spirit energy recovers, those who have entered before can't enter a second time. You only have this one chance, so you must cherish it. Remember what I told you. If you can avoid dying, try your best not to die. If you die 3 times, you'll be sent out. The longer you stay in there, the more benefits you'll get. Yang Yuchen reminded Duan Lingtian again. In response to Yang Yuchen's reminder, Duan Lingtian nodded solemnly. I understand, third senior brother. All right, it's good that you understand. Yang Yuchen nodded and said, You may enter directly. If you die 3 times in there and are forcefully sent out, you'll return here. I'll wait for you here. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Yuchen sat cross-legged in the void without waiting for Duan Lingtian's reply. Then, he closed his eyes and began to meditate. Duan Lingtian moved at the right time and leaped into the black hole in front of him. The moment he entered the black hole, he felt an irresistible force enveloping his body and bringing him in. At the same time, his consciousness became blurry. When Duan Lingtian's body was submerged in the black hole, Yang Yuchen suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze flickered as he muttered, I wonder, how long can this little junior brother last in there? Back then, I lasted for 3 months and more than 12 days in there. Eldest senior sister lasted for 4 months. Second senior brother only lasted for less than 2 months in there. Little junior sister only lasted for half a month in there. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of Yang Yuchen's words, since he had already entered the Supreme Powerhouse's remnant. Now, after being in a daze for a while, he had finally regained consciousness. When he regained consciousness, he was stunned. This was because he discovered that he had returned to his hometown in the mundane plane. This was also the first place he had appeared in after his rebirth, the Lee family of Fresh Breeze Town. Boom! Before he could come back to his senses, a loud noise suddenly came from outside. Then, with a flash of his body, he subconsciously stepped into the air and saw that the entire Lee clan, and even the entire Fresh Breeze Town, had been turned into ruins. Blood flowed like a river among the rubble. A black-robed man could be seen hovering in the air in the distance. Based on his appearance, it was clear he was the same person who had destroyed the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven and destroyed Duan Lingtian's and his master Feng Qingyang's clones. It's you again. Although Duan Lingtian knew everything before his eyes was fake, his expression could not help but change. Although Duan Lingtian kept telling himself that everything was fake, the feeling of the wind blowing against his face gave him a feeling that everything was real. Was it real or fake? At this moment, it was difficult to tell the difference. It's fake. It's all fake. While Duan Lingtian was constantly trying to persuade himself, the black-robed man standing nearby actually laughed sinisterly. That's right. It's me, Duan Lingtian. I'm the one who destroyed you and your master Feng Qingyang's clones. Today, I'll destroy your true self. As soon as the black-robed man finished speaking, he flew toward Duan Lingtian with a murderous aura surging from his body. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian, who had calmed down, became agitated again. However, in the end, He gritted his teeth and turned to flee. Teleportation. 2 teleportations. After 2 teleportations, the black-robed man disappeared from his sight. However, although the black-robed man had disappeared before his eyes, the black-robed man's voice still reverberated in his ears. Duan Ling Tian, you can't escape. You're just a little divine emperor. You can't escape from me, a high-level emperor god. Today, you'll definitely die. The deafening voice was getting closer and closer. Duan Ling Tian continued to flee. Is this real or fake? But why does it feel so real? Then, Duan Ling Tian continued to teleport. During this process, he deliberately touched some things and could feel their touch. He could even feel the pain when he pinched himself. Whoosh! A gust of wind whistled and Duan Ling Tian's expression changed drastically. At the same time, he quickly moved to the side. It was a 7-foot-long spear. It brushed past his body and left a trail of blood on his body. Then, with a loud boom, it landed on a mountain peak below him. Bang! After a loud bang, the mountain collapsed and the ground cracked. Rumble! Rumble! Duan Ling Tian glanced sideways and saw the mountain peak that was originally intact had turned into ruins. He had intentionally taken a look at this mountain peak previously. When he left the Crimson Sky Kingdom and headed to the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, he had passed by the mountain path at the foot of this mountain. At that time, he had intentionally raised his head to look at this mountain. He felt that this mountain was very tall and wondered when he would be able to fly to the top of the mountain and look down at this mountain and the surrounding land. Naturally, that was just a thought at that time. Later on, he had forgotten about it. He had never realized that thought. However, at this moment, he remembered it. The thought at that moment felt like it had happened yesterday. Haha, die. While Duan Ling Tian was in a daze, a burst of unbridled laughter resonated in the air. It was accompanied by an excited cry. Duan Ling Tian's expression changed drastically at this moment. Oh no! In the next moment, Duan Ling Tian saw at the instant he was distracted. A spear light that was like an enormous pillar soared through the sky, and it was like a light of annihilation that enveloped him within it. At the same time, he felt excruciating pain all over his body. Then, he lost consciousness. When Duan Ling Tian regained consciousness, he discovered he was no longer in his hometown, the Saint Province realm. He was currently in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Little junior brother, what are you thinking about? A voice rang in Duan Ling Tian's ears when he discovered he was in the air above the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Then, he saw Yang Yuqin standing next to him. Third senior brother? Duan Ling Tian was stunned for a moment before he raised his guard. At the same time, he teleported away from Yang Yuqin and stared at him from afar. Chapter 4109. In less than a day, Duan Ling Tian had died. It was only when he died that Duan Ling Tian realized he had been too careless. How could he have let his mind wander when he was being chased by a god emperor? Naturally, he knew his opponent might not have been able to catch up to him as long as he was not distracted. Otherwise, what was the point of playing this game? He did not believe that the ruins of an utmost powerful being were meant to send him to his death. At the very least, he was certain he would not have died if he was not distracted. I can't let my mind wander. All of this is fake. No matter how real it is, it's fake. Everything in front of me isn't real. Anyone can make a move on me. Duan Ling Tian had calmed down a lot after his first death. At the very least, it allowed Duan Ling Tian to understand his current situation. What he had to do was to survive and nothing else. As long as he could stay alive, he would be able to survive. According to Yang Yuqin, his third senior brother, the longer he stayed in this place, the more benefits he would reap. The earlier he died 3 times, the lesser the benefits he would reap. Little junior brother, what's going on? In the air above the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven, Yang Yuqin frowned in confusion when he saw Duan Ling Tian looking at him warily from afar. Upon seeing this, Duan Ling Tian sneered inwardly. Although his true body was in the ruins of a supreme powerhouse, his law clone was in the solitary destructive heaven's heavenly palace. His law clone was in the solitary destructive heaven's heavenly palace, which was enough to prove that everything in front of him was fake. Third senior brother, I have to leave for a while. Duan Lingtian smiled at Yang Yuchun before he prepared to leave. However, at the moment when he was about to leave, a figure appeared in the distance like a ghost. Furthermore, it was flying through the sky toward him. In just a blink of an eye, the figure arrived at the entrance of the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Duan Lingtian. The black-clad man looked at Duan Lingtian and said indifferently, Duan Lingtian, it seems like you didn't learn your lesson last time. How dare you return to the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven? Furthermore, it's my true self. Today, you will definitely die. The moment the black-robed man finished speaking, he directly attacked Duan Lingtian. He stepped into the air with an overbearing aura. Humph! But right at this moment, a cold snort seemed to resound from the heavens and earth. A mere high god emperor dares to say that he wants to kill my Yang Yuchin's junior brother, Yang Yuchin? Hearing Yang Yuchin's words, the black-robed man's figure that was stepping through the air suddenly stopped. At the same time, his body trembled. 10,000 Arts Academy's Vice Palace Master, Yang Yuchin? Mid-level ultimate god? In the next instant, Duan Lingtian saw the black-robed man who had just come to a halt and was trembling in fear was killed by Yang Yuchun with just a casual strike. The black-robed man was as weak as a piece of paper in front of Yang Yuchin. After killing the black-robed man, Yang Yuchin took the black-robed man's spatial ring. Then, he looked at Duan Lingtian and said, Junior brother, claim ownership of this spatial ring and see if you can find any evidence to prove he's from the Monorigin Divine Sect. If you can find any evidence, I'll bring you to the Monorigin Divine Sect to seek justice. Yang Yuchin gestured for Duan Lingtian to come over. Duan Lingtian had to admit that even though he knew everything before his eyes was fake, he still felt delighted when he saw Yang Yuchin killing his opponent. However, when Yang Yuchin gestured for him to come over, he became wary again. Why do you want me to come over? Can't you look for evidence on your own? I'm not as familiar with the Monorigin Divine Sect as you are. Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian ignored Yang Yuchin. While Yang Yuchin was waiting expectantly for him to come over, Duan Lingtian teleported a second time and disappeared before Yang Yuchin's eyes. Almost as soon as the second teleportation was completed, Duan Lingtian felt a wave of energy coming from the top of his head. Then, a beam of light fell from the sky and headed straight for him. It's over. Almost as soon as the beam of light fell and enveloped Duan Lingtian only had one thought left in his mind. At the same time, he complained to himself, how could it be over? I ran away as soon as I could. How could I die like this? However, in the next moment, Duan Lingtian realized that after the beam of light fell, he did not die. The beam of light did not have any lethality. Instead, it seemed like it was a gift. Under the cover of the beam of light, Duan Lingtian felt as if his soul had been sublimated. The bottleneck that had been stuck for a long time on the path of control began to loosen at this moment. Is this the benefit of the path of control that third senior brother mentioned? Directly falling from the sky to help me improve the path of control? Thinking of this, Duan Lingtian's eyes lit up. This is the relic of the ultimate contender. Is this how it gives people benefits? Just now, did I pass a hurdle? While taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian also realized that everything around him began to change. The original vast land quickly turned into a huge palace. Duan Lingtian was sure that he had never been to such a palace before. And when he appeared in the palace, a figure flashed not far away and stared at him from afar. It was a young man. As soon as he appeared and saw him, Duan Lingtian's expression turned ugly. His eyes seemed to spit fire. This was because the person in front of him was none other than Yun Qingyin, the direct descendant of the Yun family, giant ultimate god family in the divine offering land. Yun Qingyin was also the son of the current patriarch of the Yun family. In the Yun family, his status was high and mighty. Duan Lingtian had heard this from his family and friends when he reunited with them after Xiajie sent them away from the divine offering land. Duan Lingtian, Yun Qingyin said. His voice was as casual and frivolous as before. I didn't expect to see a piece of trash like you here. The piece of trash that I trampled under my feet back then actually managed to come to the divine offering land. How surprising. So what if you're here? Do you think you're a match for me? Do you think you're a match for the Yun family? Yun Qingyin insulted Duan Lingtian as soon as he opened his mouth. Duan Lingtian's expression gradually turned unsightly. Duan Lingtian, Yun Qingyin said, "You're an intermediate divine emperor, so I won't bully you. I'll suppress my cultivation base to the level of an intermediate divine emperor. If I can't kill you, I'll let you leave alive. What do you think?" At the same time, Duan Lingtian began to calm down. He did not want to get angry. There was no point in getting angry. All of this was fake. It wasn't real. It was impossible for him to come to the divine offering land for no reason. He was currently in the ruin of a supreme powerhouse. He was here to look for fortuitous encounters, not to seek revenge. Moreover, even if he killed Yun Qingyin, he would not be able to avenge himself. I have to think of a way to leave this place. Yun Qingyin must be the death calamity of this stage. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian extended his divine consciousness to scan his surroundings as he tried to think of a way to escape. However, he soon discovered that the Great Hall was completely sealed. There was no way out. Apart from that, there was no one else in the Great Hall apart from him and Yun Qingyin. He said he's going to suppress his cultivation base to the level of an intermediate divine emperor to fight me? Could it be that the hurdle I'm facing in the Supreme Powerhouse's relic is to defeat him or even kill him? Only then will I be able to leave this place? Or could it be that I'll be able to obtain the reward in the ruin of a Supreme Powerhouse and be sent away? With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian confirmed that there was no way out of the Great Hall before he gave up on the thought of leaving. At the same time, Yun Qingyin stared at Duan Lingtian and sneered. "What? Duan Lingtian, you don't even have the courage to fight me when I suppress my cultivation base to the level of an intermediate divine emperor? Do you think a piece of trash like you is worthy of being with my cousin? What a joke." The sneer on Yun Qingyan's face grew wider. However, Duan Lingtian did not care about Yun Qingyan's ridicule. He could feel a wave of heat rising to his head. Although it's fake, isn't it my dream to have the chance to defeat and kill Yun Qingyan? Suppressing your cultivation base to the level of an intermediate divine emperor to fight me? Yun Qingyan, you're considered one of the top prodigies in all the realms of gods. Why should I, Duan Lingtian, be afraid? Duan Lingtian had won the 7 Prefectures banquet with the cultivation base of an intermediate divine emperor. His strength was comparable to the young prodigies from the major godly venerable forces. The young prodigies from the major godly venerable forces who were comparable to him were all high-level divine emperors. If Yun Qingyin was only a high-level divine emperor, Duan Lingtian might be afraid of him. However, Yun Qingyin was only a mid-level divine emperor. He was not afraid of Yun Qingyin at all. "Yun Qingyin, you'll die today." Duan Lingtian stared at Yun Qingyin coldly as though he was looking at a dead man. "I think you'll die as well." Yun Qingyin met Duan Lingtian's gaze fearlessly as a sneer appeared on his face. "If you die, my cousin won't have to worry about you anymore. When the spatial tunnel between the realms of gods and the lower realms of gods opens, I'll find a way to imprison your family. At that time, my cousin won't be unwilling to marry me." Yun Qingyan's words were like a fuse that ignited the bomb that was Duan Lingtian. Boom! The divine energy that Duan Lingtian had been accumulating exploded from his body. The killing intent in his eyes had reached its peak. Spatial windstorms swept out in all directions. At the same time, a divine sword with 7-colored light flowing around it appeared in his hand. The 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword. As soon as the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword appeared, the entrance to Duan Lingtian's little world opened. A beautiful figure clad in rainbow clothes appeared in a flash. "Master." The person who had appeared in Duan Lingtian's little world was none other than the sword soul of the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword, Huang Peak. Chapter 41:10. Duan Lingtian had nothing to worry about since this was a ruin left behind by a supreme powerhouse. Even if the 5 divine elements could still be used, he would still use it. What was a ruin? It was a place left behind by a supreme powerhouse after his death. It was also a place where he left his inheritance. However, there were many kinds of places where supreme powerhouses left their inheritance. One of them was also the best. It was a place where a supreme expert left behind a complete inheritance. It was prepared in advance before the expert died. The person who obtained this inheritance would at least be able to become an ultimate god, even if his innate talent was poor. Those with good innate talent had a high chance of becoming a supreme powerhouse. Naturally, there were very few places like this because there were very few supreme powerhouses who could predict death. Many supreme powerhouses did not think they would die. Under such circumstances, would they not be cursing themselves? This was a taboo topic for many utmost powerful beings. The other kind of place was like the place where Duan Lingtian's master, Feng Qingyang, obtained the inheritance of a supreme powerhouse in the Azura Hell, one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms. It was left behind in a hurry before the supreme powerhouse died. Therefore, there were not many benefits. Although Feng Qingyang obtained the inheritance, the benefits were limited. However, with Feng Qingyang's innate talent and comprehension, it would not be difficult for him to become an ultimate god in the future even if he only obtained this kind of inheritance. Of course, the prerequisite was that he did not die halfway. If he died halfway, it would be useless no matter how much he talked about it. In addition to these 2 kinds of places where supreme powerhouses left behind their inheritance, the ruin left behind by a supreme powerhouse that Duan Lingtian was currently in was also a kind of supreme powerhouse's inheritance. However, this kind of place was special. The supreme powerhouse's body had transformed into a Tao and merged into an independent little world. At the same time, it required a large amount of spiritual energy to support it. Usually, it would consume more of the accumulated spirit qi. The consumption of the Tao of legacies left behind by the utmost powerful beings was relatively small. The disadvantage of this kind of place was that after entering it once, one would have to wait for a long time to recover. Moreover, the inheritance left behind by the supreme powerhouse was constantly being consumed. No matter how small the consumption was, there would be a day when it would be exhausted. At that time, the so-called supreme powerhouse's ruin would disappear. Of course, it was only after Duan Lingtian had entered that he realized what sort of a place the ruins of an utmost powerful being was. This kind of place was actually prepared by the utmost powerful beings before they fell. It was for the sake of leaving behind a fortune that could be of help to many people. Other than those who knew the method to open the ruins, no one else would be able to enter it, even if it was a supreme expert. Of course, if a supreme expert was unable to enter the ruins, they would still have the ability to destroy it forcefully. I don't have to worry about anyone spying on me in this land of inheritance. If I reveal anything here, it won't leave any hidden dangers for me. It was also because of this that Duan Lingtian activated all of his divine power and took out his soul-type divine sword, the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword. He even summoned the sword soul, Huang from the small world in his body. With my current strength, even if it's a heavyweight ultimate god-level force or a giant ultimate god-level force in the Xingyang land, I'm afraid that not many young prodigies under 10,000 years old who have yet to enter the God-Emperor realm can be my opponent. Duan Lingtian was very confident about this. However, when he saw Duan Lingtian's display of strength, he was stunned by Yun Qingyan's reaction. He saw that Yun Qingyan was also surrounded by spatial storms. A divine sword appeared in Yun Qingyan's hand. It was glowing with 7 colors. It was identical to the 7 Orifices Exquisite Sword in his hand. However, what shocked Duan Lingtian the most was the figure who appeared behind Huang. She was shrouded in 7 colored rays of light. She looked exactly like Huang. What's going on? What's going on? Although I'm not too sure about Yun Qingyan, he has fought before. He doesn't specialize in the law of space. Duan Lingtian remembered this clearly. However, as soon as this thought flashed through his mind, he seemed to have caught onto something. He forced himself to calm down before he figured it out. It must be because I'm not sure about Yun Qingyan's strength. Yun Qingyan is my obsession. That's why he has my strength and techniques in the Supreme Expert's Relic. Apart from the fact that he looks like Yun Qingyan, He's actually another me in terms of techniques and techniques. Duan Ling Tian felt slightly helpless when he thought about this. At the same time, his hostility toward the fake Yun Qingyang had lessened. After all, not only was the fake Yun Qingyang not the real Yun Qingyang, but the fake Yun Qingyang also possessed his strength and techniques. I wonder if he inherited my combat experience, or if it was given to him by the Supreme Expert's relic. Although Duan Ling Tian knew his own strength and techniques, he was not sure if Yun Qingyin had inherited his combat experience, or if it was given to him by the Supreme Expert's relic. As for Yun Qingyan's combat experience, Duan Ling Tian did not think it was possible since he did not know much about it. The Supreme Expert's relic must have created an opponent for him based on his strength and memories. I hope he's inherited my combat experience. It won't be difficult for me to defeat him, Duan Ling Tian thought to himself. If there was anyone who knew him best, it would be him. Even if Yun Qingyin had inherited his strength, techniques, and combat experience and was on par with him, he would still be able to defeat Yun Qingyin quickly. After all, he could be flexible. As an inheritor, even if Yun Qingyin was flexible, he would not be able to keep up with him. If his combat experience is from the Supreme Expert's relic, it's fine if it's from an ordinary person. However, if it's from the Supreme Expert, it'll be difficult for me to defeat him or even kill him. Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn when he thought about this. Supremely strong. These three words were like a huge mountain that pressed down on his heart. If Yun Qingyin had really inherited the Supreme Expert's combat experience, Duan Lingtian might not be a match for him. If I'm defeated or even killed by him, I'll die a second time. At that time, I'll only have one chance left. All in all, I've only been in the Supreme Expert's relic for a few days. I don't think I'll be sent out so quickly, right? Even fourth senior sister won't be sent out so quickly, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Currently, Duan Lingtian did not know that his fourth senior sister, Lang Chunyuan, had spent the shortest amount of time in the Supreme Powerhouse's relic. She had also spent nearly a month in the Supreme Powerhouse's relic. Otherwise, he would definitely be frightened, and the pressure on him would increase greatly. The reason why his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, did not tell him how long they had been in the remains of an ultimate powerhouse was because he had taken this into consideration. He was afraid Duan Lingtian would feel pressured. Duan Lingtian, after I kill you today, I'll use your blood to dye the white carpet red for my wedding with junior sister, Yun Qingyin said coldly as he made his move. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, had become vigilant the moment he made his move. When he regained his senses after hearing his words, his expression was extremely unsightly. Although he knew Yun Qingyin was a fake, he was still furious. Yun Qingyin's words had touched his bottom line. He would not allow anyone to disrespect his wife. You're courting death, Duan Lingtian said coldly as he charged toward Yun Qingyin. It seemed as though he had lost his mind, but in truth, he had calmed down as soon as he made his move. At the same time, he was wary that Yun Qingyin's combat experience had come from the Supreme Expert's relic. After a short moment, Duan Lingtian obtained the answer he wanted in their first clash. Yun Qingyin had indeed obtained combat experience from the Supreme Expert's relic. It was not his own combat experience. Yun Qingyin's mastery of the Tao of Control was much better than Duan Lingtian's mastery of the Tao of Control. However, Yun Qingyin's mastery of the Sword Tao was stiff. When Duan Lingtian realized this, he heaved a sigh of relief. Now, he had a chance to defeat Yun Qingyin and kill him. Swoosh. Although Yun Qingyin's mastery of the Law of Space and the Seven Orifices exquisite sword that had been fused with the artifact soul, his sword Tao was slightly stiff. Even so, he was still extremely powerful since he had inherited Duan Lingtian's mastery of the Law of Space and the Seven Orifices exquisite sword. At the very least, Yun Qingyin's current strength was enough to defeat Wang Xiong, the supreme talent of the Han Mountain Mansion, who ranked second in the Seven Mansions banquet. Naturally, Duan Lingtian did not use the Seven Orifices exquisite sword when he defeated Wang Xiong. It was inconvenient for him to use it. If I defeat Yun Qingyin, doesn't that mean the Supreme Expert who left behind the Supreme Expert's relic might not be able to control my body as well as I can control my own body? Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly when he thought about this. Battle intent surged out of his body as he brandished his sword again and again to meet Yun Qingyan's attacks. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The seven-colored sword ray wreaked havoc as sword chi swept out. Duan Lingtian's sword ray completely suppressed Yun Qingyan's sword. However, Yun Qingyan's mastery of the Tao of Control was perfect. Each time, he blocked the sword ray that attacked him. How amazing! As expected of a supreme expert who specializes in the Tao of Control. In the beginning, Duan Lingtian did not pay much attention to Yun Qingyan's mastery of the Tao of Control. However, as time passed, he realized Yun Qingyan's mastery of the Tao of Control gave him a lot of inspiration. Apart from that, Duan Lingtian also realized Yun Qingyan's mastery of the Tao of Control was enough to tie with Duan Lingtian's mastery of the Tao of Control. At the very least, Duan Lingtian did not hold back at all. However, he still did not have the upper hand. It'll be difficult for me to defeat him, unless I can temporarily improve my mastery of the Tao of Control. Duan Lingtian's expression turned solemn. While he was fighting Yun Qingyan, he kept an eye on Yun Qingyan's mastery of the Tao of Control. Duan Lingtian's mastery of the Tao of Control was on par with Yun Qingyan's mastery of the Tao of Control. However, Yun Qingyan had inherited the combat experience of the supreme expert who left behind the relic. Therefore, his mastery of the Tao of Control was flawless. This was something Duan Lingtian could not compare to. Chapter 4111. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Sword chi shot out in all directions in the Grand Hall. Sword chi shot out and brushed against the walls of the Grand Hall. However, they did not leave any marks on the walls. Under such circumstances, the two people fighting in the Grand Hall did not seem to be very powerful. Oomph! Yun Qingyan snorted coldly. Duan Lingtian, you're really amazing. It hasn't even been 1,000 years, but you've already grown to such a level. It's hard to imagine that the ant that I could easily trample under my feet in the mundane realm would have such a day. Upon hearing Yun Qingyan's words, Duan Lingtian did not feel happy or sad. He knew Yun Qingyan was trying to provoke him so that he would reveal his weakness and break the stalemate. Naturally, he would not fall for it. The Tao of Control. Not only did Duan Lingtian not fall for his trick, but he also continued to deduce his opponent's mastery of the Tao of Control. He wondered why his opponent was able to execute his mastery of the Tao of Control so perfectly. Gradually, he came to a realization. During this process, Yun Qingyan said something that provoked Duan Lingtian even more. Duan Lingtian ignored Yun Qingyan's words. When I achieve a breakthrough in my mastery of the Tao, it will be the time of your death. You're only complaining because you're worried you'll be defeated and killed. The stalemate lasted for a few days. Yun Qingyan had inherited all of Duan Lingtian's techniques, and he had also inherited Duan Lingtian's ability to sustain his divine energy. With 99 heavenly veins operating, not only was the speed at which he absorbed the heaven and earth spirit energy, but the speed at which the heaven and earth spirit energy was converted to divine energy was also fast. His endurance was not inferior to Duan Lingtian's at all. Moreover, Duan Lingtian discovered that Yun Qingyan's strength was not inferior to his, and the speed at which he consumed his divine energy was also slower than his. The Supreme Powerhouse's utilization of divine energy has reached perfection. Amazing! If it wasn't for the fact that I was able to comprehend the Tao of Control from him and improve my mastery of the Tao of Control, I might have still lost to him in the end. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was constantly improving his strength as he fought. In the past, he had only mastered the basics of the Tao of Control. However, with Yun Qingyan's guidance, he had gained a deeper understanding of the Tao of Control. As a result, he was able to cast the Tao of Control with greater strength. Finally, after 5 days of stalemate, Duan Lingtian began to gain the upper hand. On the 6th day, Duan Lingtian successfully suppressed Yun Qingyan and killed him after 100 moves. Before Yun Qingyan died, there was still a look of disbelief in his eyes. Duan Lingtian could not help but sigh. The relics of a supreme powerhouse made everything seem so real that it was difficult to distinguish between reality and illusion. Fortunately, He had been convincing himself in his heart and numbing himself. All of this was fake. It was all fake. For this reason, he ignored Yun Qingyan's provocation. It's time for the reward to appear, right? When Duan Lingtian saw Yun Qingyan's body vanish into thin air after he died, he turned to look at the ceiling of the great hall. The ceiling was resplendent and dazzling with luxurious lamps that emitted a dazzling light. Everything was so lifelike and lifelike. In the next moment, Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat as his eyes lit up. It's here. At this moment, under Duan Lingtian's gaze, a gigantic beam of light pierced through the ceiling of the main hall and descended horizontally before landing on his body. In the next instant, he was enveloped by the beam of light. However, unlike the previous time, he did not feel as though he had gained something. Instead, he found himself in a white world surrounded by white mist. This white mist, when the white mist came into contact with Duan Lingtian's body, he discovered that the bottleneck of his Tao of control had loosened. At the same time, he saw a faint white figure performing the Tao of control in front of him. However, his Tao of control did not control the power of space, but the power of time. The mist that was sweeping to the right stopped in its tracks as soon as the figure performed the Tao of control. Then, it began to reverse time. The mist that was within the range of the Tao of control began to move backward while the mist outside the range of the Tao of control continued to move forward. This scene also gave people a very strange feeling. Controlling time is different from controlling space. However, during the process of controlling time, the methods used to control it are different in order to achieve the same result. Since Duan Lingtian had fought with Yun Qingyan and learned the Tao of control from the supreme powerhouse who controlled Yun Qingyan's clone, he could tell the white figure's Tao of control was similar to Yun Qingyan's Tao of control. It must be the silhouette of the supreme powerhouse who left behind this relic. It must be performing the Tao of control. Now that I'm absorbing the unknown substance that can improve my Tao of control, I'm observing the silhouette's Tao of control. The reward this time is much better than the previous one. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian suppressed the excitement in his heart and began to cherish every second he had. This was undoubtedly the first great fortuitous encounter he had obtained since he entered the relic of a supreme powerhouse. In order to focus on the process, Duan Lingtian's two clones that were in the solitary destructive heaven in the Devata realm and his clones that were with his family in the mundane realm stopped moving and began to cultivate in closed-door cultivation. His clones needed to be controlled by his spiritual perception as well. When his main body was focused on something, even his clones would not be able to move on their own. At this moment, his clones were as lifeless as statues. The entrance to the independent realm where the inner court progeny was located was also the entrance to the relic of a supreme powerhouse where Duan Lingtian was. Yang Yuqin sat cross-legged in the air as he looked at the entrance to the relic of a supreme powerhouse. His eyes gleamed brightly as he muttered to himself, "Little junior brother has been in there for half a month. He'll be able to stay longer than fourth junior sister if he stays in there for a few more days. His journey here is much more difficult than ours. I'm sure he'll be more resilient than us. I hope he'll be able to stay in there longer than me and eldest senior sister." The people from the inner court of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace were all from the lower realms. They were either from the Devata realms or the mundane realms. Yang Yuqin, for example, was from a mundane realm. However, although he was from the mundane realm, he was taken to the Devata realms by the powerhouses from the Devata realms not long after he made a name for himself. Compared to Duan Lingtian, he was considered to have taken a shortcut. It was the same for his second senior brother. As for his eldest senior sister, she was a genius from a major force in the Devata realms. She grew up with a silver spoon in her mouth. Not only was she better than his little junior brother, but she was also better than him and his second senior brother. His fourth junior sister. She was definitely better than him. She was brought back to the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace by the Great World not long after she arrived in the Devata realms and became an inner court progeny disciple. Among the few people from the inner court progeny, his eldest senior sister had the best life. His situation was similar to his second senior brother. He was better off than his little junior brother and fourth junior sister. In terms of fate, his fourth junior sister was naturally the most unfortunate. However, His little junior brother was the one who had the most difficult journey. For this reason, he had personally gone to the Chunyang school in the Tunglong province of the Seven Prefectures to recruit his little junior brother into the inner court progeny of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. His little junior brother had the most difficult journey, and yet, he was able to become a medium divine emperor before he was 3,000 years old. Compared to all the people who had appeared in the history of the inner palace, such people were considered very outstanding. I'm sure eldest senior sister and second senior brother will be satisfied with this little junior brother. I have good taste. Yang Yuqin muttered to himself as a bright smile appeared on his face. He began to praise himself. At this moment, an old figure appeared next to Yang Yuqin and said indifferently, "Boy, you're getting more and more shameless." Yang Yuqin's expression froze when he heard this voice. He then looked at the old man in annoyance. "Palace Master, you're the Palace Master of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. Don't you know that it's very impolite to eavesdrop on others? Also, as the leader of the progeny of inheritance, it's not very appropriate for you to always come to our side, right? Those who don't know would think that you have some ideas about the relics of the ultimate powerhouse." The old man did not care about Yang Yuqin's ridicule. "Even if I have some ideas about the relics of the ultimate powerhouse, I still need your cooperation to open it. The method to open the relics of the ultimate powerhouse is only known by the leaders of the progeny of the inner court. It's not passed on to outsiders." "I'm aware of that." The old man smiled faintly. "Good." Yang Yuqin stood up and straightened his snow-white robe. He then asked bluntly, "Palace Master, don't tell me. You came here just to eavesdrop on me?" The old man shook his head. "I like that about you. You're smart. I just came out of seclusion today. Then, I heard that your newly accepted little junior brother of the inner palace was being targeted. He even posted a mission on the dark web. This matter is mainly targeted at you. How is it? Do you feel pressured? If you do, I can order them not to attack your little junior brother." The old man said. Yang Yuqin sneered when he heard this. "Palace Master, there's no point in saying this. If you order them not to attack my little junior brother, will they really not attack? As long as they don't attack in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace, will you know?" The old man was not angry at Yang Yuqin's disdain. He still had a faint smile on his face. At least, he won't be in danger in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. You can't always watch him and protect him, right? Chapter 41:12. Upon hearing the old man's words, Yang Yuqin fell silent for a moment before he said, "Palace Master, just tell me, what do you need me to do?" "Let me say this first. I won't do anything that's too difficult. It's fine even if I have to keep an eye on my junior brother in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. Don't forget that I'm not a native of the realms of gods. Even if my true body can't stay by his side to protect him, my law clone can." Yang Yuqin asked the old man what he needed him to do. In his opinion, the Palace Master of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace would not do this for free. "Boy, is this how you look at me?" The old man shook his head and smiled helplessly. "What if I say I don't need you to do anything, and I only want to take care of your junior brother because of his talent?" Upon hearing this, Yang Yuqin looked at the old man meaningfully. "If you don't need me to do anything, it seems like you've set your sights on my junior brother, Palace Master. What do you want him to do, Palace Master?" Yang Yuqin asked. "What can I ask him to do?" The old man shook his head and smiled. "Boy, you're smart, but sometimes you're too smart for your own good. Don't worry, I have no intention of asking him to do anything. If you really want to tell me my purpose, you can think of it as, I intend to form a good relationship with him. I'm sure he'll appreciate my protection, right? If I need his help in the future, I don't think he'll refuse, right?" The old man's smile widened as he spoke. Upon hearing this, Yang Yuqin's heart skipped a beat. However, he appeared nonchalant on the surface. "Palace Master, do you think so highly of my junior brother? Do you think he's worth your investment?" In Yang Yuqin's opinion, the old man intended to use this method to invest in his junior brother, hoping that his junior brother would have a bright future. At that time, he would repay the old man's favor. After all, this kind of thing was very risky. In the end, it might all be for naught. After all, a person's future, even a genius's future, was uncontrollable. No one could be certain that a person would not die prematurely unless he was protected by a powerhouse. Moreover, it could not be an ordinary powerhouse. Perhaps, only a supreme powerhouse would be able to grow without any risk. But, is that possible? Not to mention a genius without any background, even if it was a direct descendant of a supreme expert. Unless the descendant was by his side, the supreme expert would not be able to protect him when he went out. What's the harm in taking a gamble? The old man smiled faintly. Of course, the most important thing is, I believe in your judgment. Heh. Yang Yuqin didn't seem to comment on the old man's words. Palace Master, I'm afraid you don't just trust my judgment, right? I'm sure Palace Master already knows the ins and outs of my junior brother, right? Hearing this, the old man said calmly, Is that important? No matter how talented you are, no matter how many miracles you can create, can you guarantee that you will continue to create miracles? At most, I can only guarantee that the possibility of me losing money on this investment is small. Hearing the old man's words, Yang Yuqin fell silent. Seeing that Yang Yuqin was silent, the old man didn't say anything either. He quietly waited for his response. About 15 minutes later, Yang Yuqin finally opened his mouth. Palace Master, why don't you make a request of me to repay you for helping my little junior brother? Sure. When the old man heard this, his smile became even brighter. How about you leave the inner palace and come to the legacy progeny? Yang Yuqin was stunned. Then, he smiled wryly. Palace Master, you know that's impossible. If I really do that, my eldest senior sister won't let me off. At that time, not only will I be in trouble, but you'll be in trouble as well. This time, the old man smiled awkwardly. I'm just joking, just joking. Even if I ask you to come to the legacy progeny, I won't let you leave the inner palace. At the same time, a hint of fear could be seen in the depths of the old man's eyes. It was as though he was afraid of the eldest senior sister that Yang Yuqin mentioned. Palace Master, I can't make this decision. Yang Yuqin's expression turned solemn as he said, I'd rather have my clones by his side than take the initiative to agree to this favor on his behalf. I guess this would be the outcome. The old man sighed. Then, his body began to fade away. Forget it. I'll wait for him to come out and ask him if he wants this favor. As soon as the old man finished speaking, he had already disappeared without a trace. A puzzled expression appeared on Yang Yuqin's face. That old man is the kind of person who won't act until he sees a rabbit. He actually thinks so highly of junior brother? How strange. Could it be that he saw something? Suddenly, Yang Yuqin recalled a rumor. It was said that since ancient times, the Myriad Arts Academy had inherited a divine artifact called the Divine Spying Mirror. It could peer into the past and the future, from the mundane realms down to the realms of gods up to the realms of gods. He could not help but wonder if the Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy had seen something through the divine Skypider mirror. Also, he insisted on making me the Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy. Did he see something? If I become the Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy, would it be better than any of the legacy progeny? Yang Yuqin's thoughts drifted away. Although many things did not become clear at this moment, they were not completely clueless. Although it was not explicitly stated that those from the inner palace were not the Palace Masters, it had always been this way in the long history of the Myriad Law Academy. The Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy had always been from the legacy progeny. Even the current sect master was the most outstanding person in the legacy progeny of the Myriad Law Academy. There had always been 18 realms of gods in heaven and earth. Apart from the divine offering land, the sanction land, and the Shingang land, there were 15 other realms of gods. At this moment, in one of the realms of gods, a figure could be seen flitting through the void and hiding in a canyon. It was obvious he was in a sorry state. Figures whistled through the air above the canyon, and one of them came to a halt. Lu He, stay behind and investigate this canyon. Feng Qingyang might be here. The voice in the void was getting farther and farther away. The person who stayed behind replied with a yes before he entered the canyon. He has mastered the heaven-shocking sword principle, and he's also from a lower secondary realm. Rumor has it that Feng Qingyang has obtained the inheritance of a supreme expert. Moreover, it's the kind of place where anyone can enter. As long as we can find Feng Qingyang and threaten him, we'll be able to enter the place of inheritance and obtain a great fortune. The middle-aged man, Lu He, who stayed behind, breathed heavily as his eyes lit up. Will Feng Qingyang be hiding here? If we can find him and capture him, we'll be rich. Lu He was a higher divine emperor itinerant cultivator. This time, he had come with a group of people to search for Feng Qingyang because he had been summoned by a friend. A higher divine emperor? In the canyon, Feng Qingyang stood behind a protruding mountain wall, his eyes gleaming coldly. My law clone was crushed by a higher divine emperor. That's one thing. Today, a group of divine emperors dares to bully me? If it weren't for the two lower divine emperors among them, why would I need to escape? A higher divine emperor. Don't they know that I, Feng Qingyang, am not afraid of these ordinary higher divine emperors? With this thought, Feng Qingyang's figure flashed, and he appeared near the middle-aged man, Lu He. He stared coldly at Lu He as though he was looking at a dead man. At this moment, Lu He reacted. When he saw Feng Qingyang, his eyes lit up. He's really here. I've struck gold. In the next instant, Lu He, who was afraid that the person in front of him would escape, gathered his divine power and raged. Even if the person in front of him was only a lower divine emperor, he did not dare to underestimate him. It was said that this lower divine emperor had killed several middle divine emperors. Of course, they were just a few medium-level divine emperors. As a high-level divine emperor, he didn't care about them. Today, I, Feng Qingyang, with the cultivation of a lower divine emperor, will kill a higher divine emperor. Up until this moment, Feng Qingyang had not killed a higher divine emperor. However, among the middle divine emperors that he had killed earlier, 2 of them were outstanding middle divine emperors. They were comparable to ordinary higher divine emperors. He still had the strength to kill the 2 of them. Swoosh! The moment Lu He attacked, Feng Qingyang attacked as well. Sword radiance flashed and sword chi swept out. Even the surrounding air seemed to be stirred at this moment. A terrifying sword in tint appeared out of nowhere, wreaking havoc in the canyon. Countless sword marks appeared on the walls of the canyon. These sword marks were not left behind by Feng Qingyang. Instead, they were left behind by the sword essence that he had triggered when he attacked. After coming to the realm of gods, Duan Ling Tian's sword Dao had improved significantly. It was precisely because of this heaven-defying sword Dao that he had planted the root of the problem, causing him to be framed and forced to flee under the pursuit of a group of unaware rogue cultivators. There is no enmity between us. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too greedy. At the same time, Feng Qingyang's indifferent voice reverberated in the canyon. The middle-aged man with the cultivation of a higher divine emperor, Lu He, was disdainful when he heard this. How dare a lower divine emperor speak so arrogantly in front of a higher divine emperor? However, in the next moment, his disdainful expression changed completely. Swoosh! This was because he discovered that his opponent's sword had suppressed his attack. Even though he had used all his strength to launch his strongest attack, he was still suppressed. How is this possible? Is he really just a lower divine emperor? This terrifying sword essence. This sword principle is completely different from the rumors. What kind of sword principle is this? How can it be so terrifying? With all sorts of shocked and incredulous thoughts, Lu He's attack was completely crushed after a few breaths. The sword gleam instantly pierced through his head and chest and entered his body. Chapter 41:13. A higher divine emperor? Feng Qingyang glanced at Lu He's corpse indifferently. There was no pity in his eyes at all. In the next instant, he took Lu He's god artifact and left. As for Lu He's spatial ring, it was the kind of spatial ring that would self-destruct after the death of its owner. About 10 breaths after Feng Qingyang left, a ghostly figure appeared in the canyon. His expression changed slightly when he saw Lu He's corpse. Lu He was a higher divine emperor. How did he manage to kill him? A lower divine emperor killed a higher divine emperor? Although he was a lower god emperor, at this moment, He was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. He knew Lu He's strength. Before he had broken through, he was not much stronger than Lu He. However, such a person was killed by a lower divine emperor? In all the realms of gods, only the prodigies from the top forces can possess such combat prowess at the lower divine emperor realm. Should I continue to track him down? He might not be able to see my face clearly, and he might not be familiar with my aura. If I continue to track him down, it'll be fine if I can capture him and seize his fortuitous encounter. If I can't, I'll definitely become his sworn enemy. Forget it. I'll give up. It's too risky. What Feng Qingyang didn't know was that by killing Lu He, he had inadvertently intimidated a lesser god emperor who was chasing after him, causing the lesser god emperor to give up on him. In the profound Handle Land, in the Myriad Art Academy, in the ruins of a supreme expert. After Duan Lingtian killed Yun Qingyan, he entered the place where the supreme expert's silhouette had evolved the Tao of Control. There was an unknown substance left behind by the supreme expert that entered his body and aided his comprehension of the Tao of Control. In this environment, he immersed himself in familiarizing himself with the Tao of Control and comprehending it. His attainment in the Tao of Control continued to improve. During this process, he was so focused that he lost track of time. He immersed himself in his comprehension. I've broken through. When he successfully broke through the bottleneck of the Tao of Control and entered the next level, he finally regained his senses. At the same time, he discovered that he had left his original place. There was no longer the silhouette in front of him. How long was I in there? Even Duan Lingtian couldn't remember it clearly because he didn't pay attention to it at all. The one in front should be the third checkpoint, right? Returning to the Crimson Sky Kingdom's windy town was the first hurdle. I died at that hurdle. After that, the scene in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven can be considered the second stage. I successfully passed through that hurdle and obtained the unknown substance related to the Tao of Control left behind by the ultimate powerhouse. My Tao of Control has clearly improved. After that, I'll have to face Yun Qingyan in the third trial. Killing Yun Qingyan and passing this trial will bring me the greatest improvement. Furthermore, I seem to have stayed in that comprehension space for quite some time. Duan Lingtian did not know how to describe the space he had been sent to, so he casually called it the comprehension space. After all, in that space, his comprehension of the Tao of Control had improved, and he had completely broken through the bottleneck and entered the next realm. After all, ever since he had started comprehending the Tao of Control, he had never had a breakthrough, not even once. This was his first time breaking through. Although his attainments in the Sword Tao were not as high as his attainments in the Sword Tao, he was getting closer and closer. My strength has improved again. I wonder what kind of trial I'll face in the ruins of the ultimate powerhouse. With this thought in mind, Duan Lingtian looked at his unfamiliar surroundings and thought to himself, perhaps this place is the scene of the fourth trial? At this moment, Duan Lingtian was in the ruins of a city. It was called the ruins of a city because there were many broken buildings in the ruins. They were easily recognizable, and one could see the traces of a civilization. What will I face in this place? I'm sure I've never been to this place before. While Duan Lingtian was racking his brains, he could not recall coming to this place. At this moment, illusory figures began to appear in the ruins around him. There were men and women, old and young, among these illusory figures. At this moment, they stood in the surroundings. Their figures seemed to be drifting as they stared blankly at Duan Lingtian. Suddenly, their lifeless eyes flashed as they stared at Duan Lingtian fiercely. They even let out a low growl from the depths of their throats. Duan Lingtian, you're the one who destroyed us in the Saint Province realm. Duan Lingtian, why do you want to harm us? Duan Lingtian, we don't know you. Why do you want to harm us? Duan Lingtian, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. In the beginning, Duan Lingtian was still puzzled as to why he had suddenly appeared in a place that he had never seen before. However, when the illusory figures around him spoke, realization dawned on him. As it turned out, this was a place in the ruins of the ultimate powerhouse. In the beginning, Duan Lingtian was still a little numb because he knew all of this was fake. However, When he heard more and more about the Saint Province realm being destroyed because of him, he could not help but feel guilty. A hint of sadness appeared on his face. Then, he saw the ruins of the city around him turning into fine powder and disappearing without a trace. Soon after, he appeared in another place. He was familiar with this place. It was the first city he had come to after leaving his hometown, Fresh Breeze Town. It was Aurora City. There were families he was familiar with in this city, as well as some of their descendants. In the beginning, everything seemed peaceful. However, after a while, everything in front of him, whether it was the people walking around in Aurora City or the buildings, were turned into fine powder in an instant. Then, the scenery around him kept changing. Every time it changed, it was a scene he was familiar with. The scenes he had seen in his hometown, the mundane realm, the Saint Province realm, appeared before him one by one. Then, he watched these scenes and the people in these scenes perish, turn into fine powder, and disappear without a trace. During this process, Duan Lingtian's expression changed. Although he kept reminding himself that all of this was fake, it was inevitable that his emotions would be affected. Perhaps, when the Saint Province realm was destroyed by the people from the Monorigin spirit sect, this was the scene inside. Perhaps, they didn't even have time to react before they were all gone. Everything is gone now. Duan Lingtian's eyes dimmed as he sighed in his heart. Master, be careful. Just as Duan Lingtian was feeling melancholy, Huang Er's voice suddenly resonated in his mind. Her tone was filled with anxiety. Duan Lingtian regained his senses in an instant. The divine energy that he had been accumulating for a long time whizzed out. Although he was distracted earlier, he did not dare to be careless in the ruins of an ultimate powerhouse. The divine energy in his body was always in a state of readiness to deal with emergencies. Now, with Huang Er's reminder, the divine energy in his body erupted and merged with the law of space profundity. The space storm raged and blocked the attack behind him. However, even though he had mobilized his strength in time, the power of this attack still continued to fall on his body after destroying his strength. With a bang, he was sent flying. Puff. As he spat out a mouthful of blood, Duan Lingtian did not dare to hesitate and hurriedly teleported a second time. At the same time, the moment he disappeared, the place where he was originally at was swept by a gust of energy. The air in the void seemed to have stagnated. When Duan Lingtian landed in the distance and looked around vigilantly, he discovered that the energy that had attacked him had disappeared. At the same time, he did not see anyone around him. Just as he was in a daze, he suddenly discovered a familiar beam of light falling from the sky and enveloping him in an instant. Benefits? He did not have time to figure out what was going on. After the beam of light enveloped him, he was enlightened. This understanding fused into his body and soul, as if it was something he was born with. It's not the Tao of control. At the same time, he also discovered that the benefits he was receiving were not the Tao of control but the law of space profundity. To be precise, it was the law of time. He wasn't surprised by this. After all, before entering, he had heard from his third senior brother, Yang Yuchen, that the ultimate powerhouse who had left behind the ruins of an ultimate powerhouse was skilled in the Tao of control and the law of time. The law of time has also improved. This ruins of an ultimate powerhouse is really a good place. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. Originally, he was most skilled in the law of space and the law of life. The law of life was because of the existence of the law of life and the fact that he needed to sense and extract the power of life from the heaven and earth spirit chi to refine the divine pill. After these two laws, he was most skilled in the law of time. This was because the inheritance of the ultimate powerhouse that his master, Feng Qingyang, had obtained was left behind by an ultimate powerhouse who was skilled in the law of time. Now, the law of time had improved further and was about to catch up with the law of life. Let's continue. Before we leave, I'll try my best to get as much out of this ruins of an ultimate powerhouse as possible, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. At the same time, he became more vigilant in his heart. Up until now, this ruins of an ultimate powerhouse had set up a different challenge for him every time, and it was always unexpected. Just now, if Sword Spirit Huang had not warned him, he would have been killed. I'll have to be more careful from now on. Outside the ruins of an ultimate powerhouse, Yang Yuqin was still waiting. In the blink of an eye, he had already waited for 2 months. It's been 2 months, but little junior brother still hasn't come out. He's already surpassed second senior brother. Yang Yuqin revealed a smile on his face. I just don't know if he can stay for 3 months. If he can, he'll be able to surpass me after 3 months. If he can still persevere by then, it's just a matter of time before he surpasses third senior sister. This time, I and the inner palace bloodline have picked up a treasure. Chapter 41:14. He still hasn't come out after 2 months? Yang Yuqin was not the only one who was surprised and expectant. At this moment, even the Myriad Law Institute master, the old man who had appeared beside Yang Yuqin, was deeply moved. However, he was no longer near Yang Yuqin. He was in a quiet courtyard, lying on a recliner with his legs crossed. He looked like an old man basking in the sun. His aged face revealed a hint of surprise. He surpassed the inner palace's second disciple. Looks like there's hope for him to catch up to that brat Yang Yuqin and that disrespectful girl. He's a good seedling. What a pity. That brat Yang Yuqin beat him to it. That group of brats usually only care about fighting for power. They can't put down their heirs at critical moments. I don't believe they don't know about Duan Lingtian's existence. The old man's expression was still calm at first, but as he spoke, he seemed to be exasperated. The group of brats he was talking about was none other than the current Myriad Law Institute's upper echelons in the branch of legacy, including the 2 Myriad Law Institute Vice Palace Masters. Within Myriad Law Institute, more and more people had forgotten about Duan Lingtian as he remained in seclusion. Especially after the Dark Net mission against him was cancelled, his presence became weaker and weaker. Even the top geniuses in the 7 prefectures could not continue to receive attention. In the eyes of the Myriad Law Institute students and teachers, the 7 prefectures were just relatively remote places in the Xinjiang land. The strongest forces there were only God Emperor level forces. Places that did not even have God Venerable level forces could only be considered small and remote places in the mountains. Duan Lingtian, however, there was one person who could never forget Duan Lingtian. It was the Monorigin sect's holy son, Wang Yunsheng. After accepting the mission against Duan Lingtian on the Darknet, Wang Yunsheng went to challenge Duan Lingtian but was rejected. Even if most people thought that Duan Lingtian rejected Wang Yunsheng because he felt that he was no match for Wang Yunsheng, they still couldn't take it to heart. This was because when Duan Lingtian rejected him, he did not see any fear or concern in Duan Lingtian's eyes. It was as if he really disdained to fight with him. One day, I will trample you under my feet and let you know that a genius from a small place is nothing but mediocrity in the outside world. Wang Yunsheng's biggest wish right now was to fight with the Duan Lingtian. If he could fight with the Duan Lingtian, he would be willing to pay a certain price. He still couldn't swallow the anger from back then. Of course, there was also a group of people who were destined to never forget Duan Lingtian. They were the people of Myriad Arts Academy's legacy branch who were deeply afraid that Duan Lingtian's appearance would give Yang Yuqin an advantage in the matter of becoming the next sect master. If Duan Lingtian did not appear, even if the current palace master of Myriad Arts Academy supported Yang Yuqin, they could still use the excuse that Yang Yuqin had not nurtured or recruited any outstanding disciples for the academy. However, Duan Lingtian's appearance now made up for Yang Yuqin's lack in this aspect. The more outstanding Duan Lingtian was, the more Yang Yuqin would no longer be lacking in this aspect and would even have an advantage. This was also something they did not want to see. Perhaps Yang Yuqin personally left the academy and went to the Chunyang school in Tunglung province to invite Duan Lingtian to make up for his disadvantage. He really does want to compete for the position of the next palace master. Many people in the legacy branch thought this way. It was precisely because of this that Duan Lingtian was viewed as a thorn in their flesh by these people despite not knowing or even meeting them. Duan Lingtian has returned to the internal branch. We'll think of a way to test him when he comes out. I think we should just find a chance to get rid of him. If this person doesn't die, sooner or later he'll become Yang Yuqin's helper. Where there were people, there was the underworld. Some people whom Duan Lingtian had not even met before already had the intention to kill Duan Lingtian. Of course, Duan Lingtian was unaware of all this. Currently, Duan Lingtian was busy waiting in the ruins of the ultimate powerhouse, harvesting the wool of the ultimate powerhouse's remains. It's been 2.5 months. After waiting for 2.5 months and not seeing Duan Lingtian come out, Yang Yuchin's face was full of emotion, and his eyes flickered with a strange light. My judgment is good. I just casually went out and picked up such a genius junior brother. That's amazing. I'm impressed by myself. Now, he should be coming out soon, right? Yang Yuchin thought to himself. In fact, deep in his heart, Yang Yuchin hoped that this junior brother of his could break his record. Therefore, deep in his heart, he was still looking forward to it. 3 months later, Yang Yuchin's eyes glittered when he saw that his junior brother was still nowhere to be seen. This junior brother has a bright future ahead of him. He's almost catching up to me. Soon, many days passed. The time Duan Lingtian stayed in the ruins of the ultimate powerhouse had officially surpassed Yang Yuchin's. Crazy. At this moment, Yang Yuchin could not help but smile bitterly. I've been surpassed. Is eldest senior sister still far away? After 4 months, Yang Yuchin was a little numb. The record set by eldest senior sister had been surpassed in the end. The highest record for the inner palace is 5 months and 5 days. It's said that that person had the potential to become an ultimate powerhouse. However, he died halfway. When he was a lower ultimate god, he was killed after a fierce battle with a higher ultimate god. Before this, the highest record of the inner palace in the ultimate powerhouse's miracle had been set in Duan Lingtian and Yang Yuchin's macro world. However, now that Duan Lingtian had stayed in there for 4 months, the record set by his eldest senior sister whom he had never met had been broken by him. However, this record was only a contemporary record. In the history of the inner palace, the highest record was 5 months and 5 days. That record was set by a genius disciple of the inner palace 200,000 years ago. It's been 4.5 months. After waiting for 4.5 months, Yang Yuchin was a little numb. 5 months, is it still far away? Soon, 5 months had passed. Duan Lingtian still had not come out. Little junior brother, don't tell me he broke the best record set by the ancestor of 5 days and 5 days? He was only a few days away from breaking the record. Yang Yuchin, who was originally a little numb, was looking forward to it at this moment. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed. Duan Lingtian still had not come out. He broke the best record. What kind of monster did I find? Outside, Yang Yuchin was lamenting. In the ultimate powerhouse's miracle, Duan Lingtian was being chased by a group of people. Without exception, these people were all upper divine emperors. I've already died twice. If I die again, I'll be sent out. Now, I haven't spent more time in the ultimate powerhouse's miracle than third senior brother, right? After all, third senior brother started from nothing in the ultimate powerhouse's miracle and mastered the way of control. It's the same for eldest senior sister. Duan Lingtian was being chased by a group of upper divine emperors. He wanted to escape, but he was quickly surrounded. For a time, he could only catch a few upper divine emperors and kill his way out. However, although he had killed his way out, he had also been injured further. I can't hold on for much longer. I'm afraid I'll be eliminated in a few days at most. Duan Lingtian felt bitter in his heart. Duan Lingtian was very clear about his own situation. After 3 days, Duan Lingtian could not hold on and was killed again. Then, in the blink of an eye, he found that he had left the ultimate powerhouse's miracle. This meant that he would not be able to enter the ultimate powerhouse's miracle again in the future. A person could only enter the ultimate powerhouse's miracle once in their lifetime. If they wanted to enter the ultimate powerhouse's miracle a second time, they would be rejected and could not enter at all. 5 months and 9 days. When he saw the purple figure appear in front of him, the corner of Yang Yuchin's mouth could not help but twitch. However, Duan Lingtian, who was looking around in a daze, did not notice it. Duan Lingtian came back to his senses after a while. You're out? Third senior brother. How long have I been in there? Duan Lingtian asked Yang Yuchin. When he asked, He was a little nervous in the depths of his heart. 5 months and 9 days, Yang Yuqin said. At the same time, he tried to keep his face calm. He could not lose his composure. He definitely could not lose his composure. Otherwise, this little junior brother might think that he had not seen the world. 5 months and 9 days? Duan Lingtian frowned slightly. Not even a year? A year? Duan Lingtian's words made Yang Yuqin's heart twitch. This kid wanted to stay in there for a year? Third senior brother. How long have you? Eldest senior sister and second senior brother been in there? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. When Yang Yuqin heard Yang Yuqin's question, he sighed in his heart. Here it comes. In the end, this question still came. After taking a deep breath, Yang Yuqin looked calm and said casually, "Don't be discouraged. Although you've only been in there for 5 months and 9 days, it's not bad. After all, I've only been in there for slightly more than 6 months. As for your eldest senior sister, she almost stayed in there for 7 months. When Yang Yuqin said this, Duan Lingtian's face fell. Is the difference that big? Third senior brother. I'm actually 1 month behind you, and I'm almost 2 months behind eldest senior sister? Although he was mentally prepared, Duan Lingtian still felt a little disappointed when it really came to this. It seemed that his performance was not very good. He had already worked very hard. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian suppressed his disappointment and asked Yang Yuqin, third senior brother, how long have second senior brother and fourth senior sister been in there? When Yang Yuqin heard this, he grinned. They didn't stay in there as long as you did. Your second senior brother only stayed in there for about 5 months. As for your fourth senior sister, she stayed in there for 4 months. At this point, Yang Yuqin was already thinking to himself that he had to talk to his fourth junior sister later, lest she sold him out in front of his little junior brother. What he said were all white lies. He did not want his little junior brother to be proud. Everything he did was for his little junior brother's good. He definitely did not have any selfish motives. Chapter 41:15. Although I stayed in there longer than fourth senior sister and second senior brother, I'm still far behind third senior brother and eldest senior sister. Although Duan Lingtian felt that he had gained a lot from entering the Supreme Powerhouse's relic, he could not help but feel disappointed when he thought about how his third senior brother Yang Yuqin and eldest senior sister, whom he had never met, had stayed longer than him in the Supreme Powerhouse's relic. 5 months and 9 days. That's not too bad. Yang Yuqin pretended to be calm as he comforted Duan Lingtian with a smile. At the same time, in a courtyard far away, an old man who was lying on a recliner and sunbathing could not help but twitch his mouth. Yang Yuqin is too shameless, isn't he? He stayed in the Supreme Powerhouse's relic for 5 months and 9 days, and he's still not as good as him? I remember. In the history of the Inner Palace, the longest senior who stayed in the Supreme Powerhouse's relic before this little fellow only stayed for 5 months and 5 days, right? Duan Lingtian not only broke the previous record, but he also set a new one. How could I not tell? Yang Yuqin has such a shameless side to him. As the palace master of Myriad Jurisprudence Palace, the old man was well aware of the Inner Palace's affairs. Because of this, when he heard what Yang Yuqin said to Duan Lingtian, he could not help but grumble inwardly. However, the old man's expression darkened very quickly. Who are you calling an old fart? At this moment, Yang Yuqin was telling Duan Lingtian that he was bringing him to meet someone. Duan Lingtian was asking who he was going to meet? Yang Yuqin said, an old fart. An old fart? Duan Lingtian was stunned. Third senior brother. Is he a senior in Myriad Jurisprudence Palace? Yang Yuqin smiled faintly. To be precise, he's the current palace master of Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. Yes, he's an extremely shameless old fart who often eavesdrops on other people's conversations. In the future, as long as you're in Myriad Jurisprudence Palace, you have to be careful. If you don't set up a soundproof formation, it's best not to talk about confidential matters, lest he hears it. Almost as soon as Yang Yuqin finished speaking, a loud rumble suddenly sounded from the sky. Then, an enormous bolt of lightning, like the heavenly tribulation lightning, came crashing down with a loud rumble. In the next moment, it instantly contracted and condensed, striking Yang Yuqin's body. Before this happened, Yang Yuqin reacted in time. He raised his hand, and a spear appeared in his hand. He held it vertically, causing the ferocious, concentrated lightning to surge into it. Then, lightning surged on the 7-foot-long spear. Whoosh! Yang Yuqin shook his hand, and the lightning within the spear disappeared. In the next instant, a giant mountain peak outside the Myriad Arts Academy shattered with a loud bang, shaking the surroundings. Some of the higher-ups and students of the Myriad Arts Academy who were closer to the scene were also alarmed. However, it was a commotion that happened outside the Wanda Law Palace after all. No matter how big it was, not many people really cared about it. Most of them were just curious. Were there any experts fighting outside? To think that a mountain had been destroyed. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was next to Yang Yuqin, had a strange glint in his eyes. Third senior brother. That didn't seem to be the law of space just now. It seems to be the law of time. Duan Lingtian also noticed the commotion outside. He was very far away, but he could see that Yang Yuqin had sent out the energy that had surged into his spear. As for the lightning attack that had fallen from the sky just now, he had already guessed where it had come from. It was obviously the doing of the old fart that third senior brother had mentioned. The other party had been listening to their conversation, including what third senior brother had said about the other party. He really was eavesdropping. Is this the current palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy? So immoral. Someone like him. I'm afraid no one would suspect anything if he said that the Darknet divine weapon is in his hands. At this moment, Duan Lingtian could not help but become vigilant. The current palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy did not seem to be a good person. Not only did he like to eavesdrop, he also liked to use underhanded means. Wretched. Petty. This was the label he had placed on the other party before meeting the current palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy. It was one thing for him to eavesdrop, but he actually attacked the person who had spoken ill of him while eavesdropping. If this was not petty, then what was? After all, the two of them were not great beauties. Wasn't it boring for an old man like him to eavesdrop on two grown men? Good lad. At the same time, the old man stood up from his recliner with a shocked expression. His mastery of the law of time has actually reached such a level? He wrapped my attack with the law of time and sent it out of the academy in an instant. It seems that his strength is no weaker than theirs. In fact, he might even be stronger. The old man's eyes flickered. As expected of the person I took a fancy to. Very good, very good. Little junior brother, let's go. After casually sending out the lightning, Yang Yuqin acted as if nothing had happened and greeted Duan Lingtian. Then, he brought Duan Lingtian to see the old man. The current palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy, Su Baili. Duan Lingtian greets the palace master. On the way here, Duan Lingtian could not help but imagine the appearance of the palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy. He should be an old man with a wretched appearance. However, when he really met the other party, it gave him a visual impact. This amiable old man was really the palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy who liked to eavesdrop and use underhanded methods? As expected, you can't judge a book by its cover. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. The old man in front of him had a square face, but he did not appear dignified. Instead, he exuded an awe-inspiring righteousness, giving off a very amiable feeling. This lad Yang Yuqin has good eyesight. The old man, who was the palace master of the Myriad Arts Academy, Su Baili, smiled and nodded. I don't like to beat around the bush. Since you're here, I'll get straight to the point. The person who issued the mission on the dark web, I roughly know who it is. Just as Su Baili said that, Duan Lingtian could not help but interrupt, Palace Master, don't you know who issued the mission? Rumor has it that the dark web artifact is in your hands, right? Duan Lingtian asked. Of course, the reason why he dared to interrupt Su Baili was because he could see that Su Baili was not a serious person. In addition, from the previous confrontation between Su Baili and Yang Yuqin, he could see that in front of Su Baili, such a joke was still acceptable. Otherwise, he would not have dared to interrupt a superior ultimate god. For such an existence, not to mention killing him with a slap, even a finger was enough to crush him to death. Did he tell you that? Su Baili heard that and subconsciously looked at Yang Yuqin. Before Yang Yuqin could speak, Duan Lingtian had already shook his head. Third senior brother didn't say it. I heard it from others. Su Baili heard that and did not ask further. He nodded and said, rumors can't be trusted, especially such rumors. There's no need to believe them. When I said that I roughly knew who issued the mission, it was purely my personal guess. As for their goal, I can roughly guess. If you were just a mediocre person, it would be fine. But the problem is you're not. Now, I'm just worried that they'll risk their lives to take your life in the academy. When you prove your worth, perhaps an emperor god will make a move and exchange his life for yours. He'll kill you, and he'll be executed by the academy. Su Baili said it calmly, but Duan Lingtian frowned when he heard that. In fact, he had heard about this from his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin. Because of this, his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, had even asked him to take refuge in the independent realm where the internal palace was and only come out after entering the ultimate expert's relic. He understood what his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, meant. He wanted him to enter the ultimate expert's relic to improve his strength so that he could deal with those who might attack him. However, just as Duan Lingtian frowned, Su Baili said, I can help you solve this problem. When Duan Lingtian stared at him, Su Baili said unhurriedly, I can warn them. Not only will they not harm you in the academy, but they might even protect you and prevent other people from killing you in the academy. Help me solve this problem? Duan Lingtian was not happy when he heard Su Baili's words. Instead, he frowned slightly. Could it be that Su Baili had some conditions? At the same time, as if he could read Duan Lingtian's mind, Su Baili continued, I've told your third senior brother about this. At first, he thought that I wanted him to do something. However, I told him that I don't need him to do anything, and I don't even need you to do anything. At most, you'll owe me a favor. It doesn't matter if you're willing to return this favor in the future. Su Baili said frankly and directly, according to your third senior brother, he can't decide for you on this matter. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he finally understood what was going on. It turned out that the palace master of Everlasting Studies Palace did not intend to make any requests from him, his third senior brother, or even the internal palace. He just wanted to do him a favor. Of course, he knew that if he accepted the favor, he would have to return it in the future. The palace master was willing to do him a favor because he knew that. Little junior brother. At that moment, Yang Yuqin's voice sounded in Duan Lingtian's ears. Do as you wish. Even if you don't want the palace master's favor, I can also create a law clone to protect you. Even if the lineage of inheritance really arranged for someone to kill you, it's unlikely that they would send an ultimate god to exchange their life for yours. Even if it's an ordinary lower ultimate god, my law clone can stop him for a moment. That moment is enough for my original body to arrive at the scene in time. Yang Yuqin said telepathically. Yang Yuqin's words were very simple. He did not want Duan Lingtian to deliberately accept Su Baili's favor. Even without Su Baili's favor, he could protect Duan Lingtian himself. Chapter 41:16. Duan Lingtian was, naturally, touched by Yang Yuqin's words. Naturally, he knew he could not allow his third senior brother to do this. If a law clone wanted to pay attention to something, it would affect the main body. Since Duan Lingtian had his own law clone, he was well aware of this. When the nomological avatar was doing something else, the main body could cultivate, but it couldn't fully focus on cultivation. There would always be some distractions. Only when the law clone entered a meditative state would the main body be able to focus on cultivating, comprehending the laws, and comprehending the four Taoists of heaven and earth. Even his law clone would not do anything when his main body was cultivating. Most of the time, his law clone would be in seclusion. Even if his third senior brother's law clone was in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven, Duan Lingtian had no intention of letting his law clone stay in the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Since the Monorigin Divine Sect did not send anyone, it meant they had guessed something was up. There was no point in continuing this. Palace Master. Duan Lingtian looked at Su Baili and said solemnly, I owe you a favor. I won't disappoint you in the future, Palace Master. Naturally, Duan Lingtian could tell Su Baili wanted to invest in him. Since Su Baili was optimistic about his future, Su Baili was willing to help him. Indeed, Duan Lingtian needed this favor. This matter concerned his life and death. Naturally, he did not dare to be careless. Moreover, he did not want to drag his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, down with him. Haha, all right. When Su Baili saw that Duan Lingtian had agreed, he immediately laughed out loud. His laughter was so bright that his eyes narrowed into slits. Duan Lingtian knew he was safe in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace from now on. He did not have to worry about being attacked by god emperors. Yang Yuqin, who was standing next to Duan Lingtian, raised his eyebrows slightly. However, he did not say anything. Everyone had their own choices. Duan Lingtian, how long did you stay in the Supreme Expert's relic? Suddenly, Su Baili smiled and asked Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Yang Yuqin's expression changed as well. He looked at Su Baili with a warning gaze. He was certain this old man must have eavesdropped on their conversation after his junior brother came out. 5 months and 9 days. Duan Lingtian sighed dispiritedly. Why are you sighing? Su Baili shook his head. Your result has broken the highest record in the history of the Inner Palace. Before you, the highest record was 5 months and 5 days. You came out 4 days later than him. Su Baili completely ignored Yang Yuqin's warning gaze. This brat, I wanted him to be the palace lord, but he still refused to listen to me. Now that I have a chance to teach him a lesson, I won't miss it. When Duan Lingtian heard Su Baili's words, he was stunned. He then asked anxiously, Palace Master, are you mistaken? My third senior brother and eldest senior sister stayed in the relic longer than me. How could I have broken the record of the Inner Palace? Duan Lingtian thought Su Baili had made a mistake. At the same time, he looked at Yang Yuqin and asked, Third senior brother, don't you agree? However, as soon as he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian noticed that Yang Yuqin's expression was a little unnatural. He could not help but be stunned. What was going on? His third senior brother had said it himself just now. Could it be that he was lying to him? Was the palace lord telling the truth? Subsequently, Duan Lingtian obtained his answer from Yang Yuqin. Junior brother, I was afraid that you would be too proud, so I didn't tell you the truth. Actually, your result was very impressive. Not only did you surpass me and eldest senior sister, but you also broke the record of the Inner Palace's ancestors. Yang Yuqin said as he shook his head. Duan Lingtian finally understood. His third senior brother had lied to him. He had set a new record of the Inner Palace in the Ultimate Expert's relic. Su Baili was standing at the side. When he heard Yang Yuqin's words, he said with a look of surprise, You brat, you should have reminded me to cooperate with you. While Yang Yuqin was so angry that the corners of his mouth were twitching, Su Baili looked at Duan Lingtian and said with a bitter smile, Duan Lingtian, you won't be proud of this, right? If I am, then I'll have ruined your third senior brother's good intentions. I was too talkative. Su Baili looked as if it was all his fault. As for Duan Lingtian, after a short moment of astonishment, he finally understood the situation in front of him. It turned out that the palace lord of the Myriad Arts Academy had deliberately told him this. He must have heard what his third senior brother had said to him. As for why his third senior brother had said that, he did not suspect anything. His third senior brother probably did not want him to be too proud, so he did not tell him the truth. Don't worry, third senior brother. I won't be proud. I came from the mundane realm, and this isn't the first time I've achieved something like this. I'm used to it, Duan Lingtian said to Yang Yuqin. Yang Yuqin nodded with a faint smile on his face. At the same time, he felt his liver ache. Was his little junior brother really unable to guess his thoughts, or was he pretending not to know? At this moment, he felt as though he had lifted a rock and dropped it on his own feet. Third senior brother. After bidding farewell to Su Baili, Duan Lingtian made his way back to the independent realm where the Inner Palace was located. He asked Yang Yuqin, What do you think the people who attacked the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven and those who are related to me are from the monarch sect? More than 90%. Yang Yuqin asked curiously, Little junior brother, aren't you 100% certain they're the culprits? Why are you asking me now? I just want to confirm it. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. It's very likely they're the culprits. Yang Yuqin continued to say, Later on, when I made a move against the people from the monarch spirit sect, it was after you rejected the challenge from Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the monarch spirit sect in our Myriad Arts Academy. After the challenge, I heard that some of the disciples of the Monorigin Divine Sect were secretly saying that they wouldn't let you off the hook for humiliating their holy child. Yang Yuqin paused for a moment before he continued to say, speaking of which, this sounds like something the Monarch Divine Sect would do. Back then, I was the one who invited you to join the Myriad Law Academy. If you joined another ultimate god force, they would have attacked you as soon as you entered the Myriad Law Academy. If I invite you, they will be more or less afraid of me, because there are many people from the Monorigin sect in the Myriad Law Palace, including a saint. Under such circumstances, it's only normal for them to hold back temporarily. However, when you refused the challenge from the Monorigin Divine Sect's Holy Son, they saw it as a humiliation to their Holy Son. At that time, they flew into a rage out of humiliation. It's only natural that they would seek revenge on those around you. After listening to Yang Yuqin's analysis, Duan Lingtian was even more certain the people from the Monarch Divine Sect were the culprits. Third Senior Brother. Duan Lingtian said, I'm going to ask Hua Lao and Senior Meng Luo to leave the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven in the next few days. At that time, you'll be able to retrieve your law of avatars. Little Junior Brother. Yang Yuqin smiled wryly. There's no need to rush. My law of avatars are still there. They won't affect me. Third Senior Brother. That's not the only reason. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said, the people from the Monarch Divine Sect haven't made a move yet. They must have guessed that your law of avatars are guarding the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. Under such circumstances, it's meaningless to continue waiting for them to show up. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Yang Yuqin fell silent. Over the next few days, Duan Lingtian's law of avatars left the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven with Hua Lao and Meng Luo. As for the others, they were those who were recruited later on. After receiving some benefits from Duan Lingtian, they happily left the heavenly palace of the solitary destructive heaven. When Duan Lingtian brought Hua Lao and Meng Luo out of the solitary destructive heaven, Yang Yuqin's law of avatars personally escorted them out of the solitary destructive heaven. After settling down Hua Lao and Meng Luo, Duan Lingtian's true body left the independent realm where the solitary destructive heaven's palace of the solitary destructive heaven was located. The palace master of Myriad Laws Academy, Su Baili, had asked his third senior brother to tell him that from now on, he would be absolutely safe in Myriad Laws Academy. No one would risk their lives to kill him. When Duan Lingtian's original body left the independent plane of the inner palace and returned to the student dormitory of the Myriad Arts Academy, all existences above the God-Emperor realm in the lineage of inheritance received a warning from the few existences with the highest status in the lineage of inheritance, excluding the palace master. Everyone, from today onwards, no one from the legacy bloodline is to have any thoughts of targeting Duan Lingtian. The headmaster has said that if anything happens to Duan Lingtian in the academy, he will disqualify the legacy bloodline from competing for the position of headmaster. Not only must we not target the Duan Lingtian, if we discover that someone is targeting the Duan Lingtian, we must also pay attention to whether or not the Duan Lingtian's life is in danger. If it is, we must protect the Duan Lingtian. When these words reverberated in the ears of those above the God-Emperor realm in the lineage of inheritance, everyone fell silent after recovering from their shock. They knew that Duan Lingtian had obtained the death-free golden medallion in the academy. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was unaware of the situation in the lineage of inheritance. Not long after he returned to dorm 603 in the second dormitory building, he walked out again and flew directly to the sky above a dormitory with a courtyard, overlooking the dormitory below him. Wang Yunsheng, come out? Duan Lingtian said in a low voice, his tone indifferent beyond compare. In the next instant, when he saw that there was no movement in the dormitory, Duan Lingtian snorted coldly. Don't play dead. At this time, the people who had gathered to watch the commotion were somewhat speechless. Wasn't Duan Lingtian a little too impatient? He had spoken at the beginning and told Wang Yunsheng not to play dead at the end. It had all been done in succession, with only a pause of a breath in between. It was impossible for Wang Yunsheng to react in such a short time. Chapter 41:17. Oomph. Just as the group of onlookers was rendered speechless by Duan Lingtian's words, a cold snort was heard from the dormitory overlooking by Duan Lingtian. Immediately afterward, there was a loud bang as a figure broke through the door and smashed it into pieces. After that, a figure directly soared into the sky and confronted Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, are you provoking me? Wang Yunsheng stared coldly at Duan Lingtian. He never expected that before he could provoke Duan Lingtian would come knocking on his door. Wang Yunsheng. Duan Lingtian stared coldly at Wang Yunsheng and said in a deep voice, last time, I didn't want to hurt you, so I didn't accept your challenge. I didn't expect the Monorigin spirit sect to be so ruthless as to massacre the forces of my friends and family in the lower secondary planes. As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, Wang Yunsheng's expression changed slightly, but he quickly returned to normal. At the same time, there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. It was not impossible for the Monorigin spirit sect to do such a thing. However, who was the one who did this? He did not know. The group of onlookers of the Myriad Art Academy also came to a realization at this time. At the same time, they looked at Wang Yunsheng with a hint of fear in their eyes. Of course, there was more disdain in the depths of their eyes. Even if he was dissatisfied with Duan Lingtian's refusal to accept his challenge in the past, that was between him and Duan Lingtian. There was no need to involve Duan Lingtian's relatives and friends, right? It's not the first time the Monorigin spirit sect has done such a thing. It's not strange. Even so, isn't this a little too much? Such a small conflict involves Duan Lingtian's relatives and friends? In my opinion, this conflict may not be the only one. As far as I know, before Duan Lingtian was invited back to our Myriad Art Academy by Vice Palace Master Yang, someone from the Monorigin spirit sect also went to invite Duan Lingtian but was rejected by Duan Lingtian. At that time, the Monorigin spirit sect may have already held a grudge against Duan Lingtian. What happened between him and Wang Yunsheng was just a fuse. There was a lot of discussion among the onlookers. Among them, there was no lack of discerning people who vaguely guessed the ins and outs of the matter. At the same time, Wang Yunsheng sighed. He had learned that the Monorigin spirit sect members had sent people to the lower secondary planes to retaliate against Duan Lingtian. Although this matter could not be spread around, it was not difficult for him to find out as a direct descendant of the Monorigin divine cult's higher-level supreme god. At this point, he even knew which vice sect master of the Monorigin spirit sect was in charge of this matter. Duan Lingtian. The doubt deep in Wang Yunsheng's eyes disappeared. When he looked at Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were indifferent. You'd better not speak without evidence. Even if you're Vice Palace Master Yang's junior brother, it doesn't mean you can slander the Monorigin spirit sect at will. Although Wang Yunsheng already knew the truth, he was not stupid enough to admit that the Monorigin spirit sect had done this. Even if most people suspected the Monorigin spirit sect, they would not admit it. It would be fine if it was an ordinary person without any background. However, this person was Duan Lingtian. Behind Duan Lingtian was Myriad Art Academy's Vice Palace Master Yang Yuchen, a powerful medium-level ultimate god. If the Monorigin spirit sect admitted this matter, the other party would definitely not let it go. When the time came, there was a possibility that he would personally take Duan Lingtian to the Monorigin spirit sect to seek justice. If Duan Lingtian was in the right, the Myriad Art Academy's palace master might come forward in the end if the matter really blew up. At that time, the Monorigin spirit sect would most likely abandon the vice leader behind the scenes in order to appease the Myriad Art Academy's palace master's anger because they were in the wrong. Duan Lingtian sneered. The disappearance of the doubt deep in Wang Yunsheng's eyes did not escape his notice. It was not difficult for him to guess why there was such a change in Wang Yunsheng's eyes. In all likelihood, Wang Yunsheng had just found out about the Monorigin spirit sect's attack on his relatives and friends. Previously, Duan Lingtian only felt that the people who attacked his relatives and friends were more than 90% sure they were from the Monorigin spirit sect. But now, he had full confidence in his ability to do so. Wang Yunsheng's eyes betrayed them. As for Wang Yunsheng's denial, he was not surprised because even if everyone knew about it, Wang Yunsheng would not dare to say it out loud. Whether it's slander or not, I'm afraid you know it in your heart. After Duan Lingtian sneered, he sneered again. Wang Yunsheng, last time I refused you because I was afraid of hurting you. But I didn't expect your mon-origin spirit sect to be so ruthless. Today, I, Duan Lingtian, challenge you to a life and death battle. Do you dare to accept? If you dare, we'll go and sign a life and death contract now. If you don't dare, you, Wang Yunsheng, the mon-origin spirit sect's holy son, are just a useless waste. As Duan Lingtian's voice fell, everyone was shocked. Even Wang Yunsheng, after being angry, looked at Duan Lingtian again with a bit of fear in his eyes. As the mon-origin spirit sect's holy son and the leader of the younger generation in the Xingang land, he was naturally not a fool. Duan Lingtian dared to challenge him to a life and death battle. Either he was deliberately mystifying things, or he really had the confidence to kill him. However, even if the possibility of killing him was slim, since the other party took the initiative to challenge him, he would not agree. Once he lost his life, he would lose everything. Even if there was only a slight chance of dying, he would not take the risk. Duan Lingtian issued a life and death battle to Wang Yunsheng. The group of onlookers was shocked. Even if this is deliberately mystifying things, it's enough to see how bold Duan Lingtian is. This is a person who is ruthless to himself. I'm afraid Wang Yunsheng might not accept the challenge. If he makes the wrong choice, he'll lose his life. Duan Lingtian is powerful. If Wang Yunsheng refuses, he'll admit that he's inferior to him. As more and more onlookers gathered, Wang Yunsheng's tone was indifferent as he directly rejected Duan Lingtian's life and death battle as most people had guessed. Of course, his original words were very pleasant to hear. Duan Lingtian, I'll give face to Vice Palace Master Yang and not accept your life and death battle, lest Vice Palace Master Yang loses his little junior brother in the blink of an eye. Duan Lingtian sneered again. Wang Yunsheng, if you don't dare, just admit it. Is it that difficult to admit that you don't dare? What mon-origin spirit sect's holy son? In my opinion, you're just a coward and a good-for-nothing. To think that I can kill a good-for-nothing like you even without using my law avatar. The law of clones was one of the trump cards of people from lower realms. It was comparable to the bloodline of natives in realms of gods. Duan Lingtian's claim that he would be able to kill Wang Yunsheng without using his law of clones was rather exaggerated in the eyes of the 10,000 Arts Academy students. No matter what, Wang Yunsheng was the mon-origin spirit sect's holy son, an outstanding genius of the younger generation in the mystic gangland. However, when it came to Duan Lingtian, he really did seem like a cowardly weakling. You're inviting me to a life and death battle without using your law avatar? At this moment, Wang Yunsheng frowned. At the same time, he was somewhat tempted. If Duan Lingtian did not use his law avatar, his strength would undoubtedly be much weaker. Under such circumstances, was this Duan Lingtian still confident that he could kill him? He did not quite believe it. If you agree to my life and death battle, I can make a heart demon blood oath that if I use my law avatar in a life and death battle with you, I'll die and my Tao will vanish. Duan Lingtian sneered indifferently. However, do you, Wang Yunsheng, dare to agree? For a time, everyone's eyes fell on Wang Yunsheng. In their opinion, it was already very rare for Duan Lingtian to make such a concession. Moreover, they also felt that if Duan Lingtian did not use his law avatar, it was almost impossible for him to kill Wang Yunsheng. Will Wang Yunsheng agree? I don't know. Maybe he will? Duan Lingtian is so arrogant. Isn't he worried that Wang Yunsheng will really agree to his life and death battle? I feel that even so, Wang Yunsheng might not dare to agree. It's fine if he wins, but if he loses, he'll die and his Tao will vanish. Previously, most of the onlookers had guessed that Wang Yunsheng would refuse. However, now, half of them felt that Wang Yunsheng might agree. At the same time, they felt that Duan Lingtian was more likely to scare Wang Yunsheng. Do you dare? Duan Lingtian asked again. The sneer on his face was getting wider and wider. After a while, Wang Yunsheng said indifferently, I'll say the same thing. I don't want Vice Palace Master Yang to lose a junior brother like you. I'll give Vice Palace Master Yang some face. As soon as Wang Yunsheng said this, not only did Duan Lingtian look at him with disdain, But even those who thought that Wang Yunxing might agree and were waiting for Wang Yunsheng to make a move looked at Wang Yunxing differently. Why didn't they think that the Monorigin spirit sect's holy son was so timid? He was actually scared by Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian was obviously trying to scare him. Haha, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but laugh. Wang Yunsheng, do you want me to call my third senior brother here and let him tell you that you don't need to give him face? Wang Yunxing's face stiffened when he heard this. Duan Lingtian, if it's a normal challenge, I can ask about you. However, I'm not interested in a life-and-death challenge. I, Wang Yunsheng, am not interested in a life-and-death challenge with you. How can your life be compared to mine? Ridiculous. Duan Lingtian, you think too highly of yourself. I, Wang Yunsheng, am the Monorigin spirit sect's holy son and a direct descendant of the current high-level supreme god of the Monorigin spirit sect. My life is as precious as gold. Duan Lingtian, you're just a person who climbed up from a lower secondary plane with no background. Your life is as cheap as grass. Seeing that Wang Yunsheng seemed to want to continue, Duan Lingtian yawned and interrupted him indifferently. In the end, you, Wang Yunsheng, don't dare to accept my life-and-death challenge. The Monorigin spirit sect's holy son is just, With a sneer, Duan Lingtian turned around and left, ignoring Wang Yunsheng. Of course, deep in his heart, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. This Wang Yunsheng was actually so cautious. What a pity. Chapter 41:18. Duan Lingtian. Seeing Duan Lingtian turn around and leave, Wang Yunsheng noticed the strange gazes directed at him from the surroundings. His expression changed slightly, and he shouted at Duan Lingtian, who was about to leave. I, Wang Yunsheng, invite you to a spar, the kind that doesn't overdo it. Do you dare? The current Wang Yunsheng gave people the feeling that he wanted to regain the face he had just lost. He directly challenged Duan Lingtian, but it was only an ordinary spar, not a battle of life and death. For a moment, the strange gazes that fell on Wang Yunsheng became even stranger at this moment. This Wang Yunsheng wants to test Duan Lingtian's strength? If Duan Lingtian agrees and beats him, he won't lose. But if Duan Lingtian gives up for nothing, he can regain the face he lost just now. Unless Duan Lingtian is stupid, he won't agree to this spar. I think so too. This Wang Yunsheng, doesn't he think that it's a bit unnecessary to challenge Duan Lingtian like this? Does he think that Duan Lingtian will be stupid enough to accept his challenge? Under the shocked gazes of the 10,000 Arts Academy students, Duan Lingtian did not even pause for a moment before he left. As he left behind a sentence full of contempt and disdain. Wait until you have the courage to challenge me to a battle of life and death, then come find me. Duan Lingtian's words angered Wang Yunsheng so much that his face turned red. He had a strong impulse to challenge Duan Lingtian to a battle of life and death, but in the end, he couldn't hold it in. Endure. Endure. This Duan Lingtian might really have the strength to kill me. I can't be impulsive. I can't take the risk. The current Wang Yunsheng was constantly comforting himself in the depths of his heart. Although he felt oppressed, he still gritted his teeth and endured. This Duan Lingtian might really have the strength to kill him. You can even hold it in? Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, was still thinking that Wang Yunsheng might not be able to hold himself back and challenge him to a life and death battle. However, when he returned to his dormitory, Wang Yunsheng did not issue a life and death battle invitation. What a pity. He's too cautious. Looks like there's no chance to kill him openly in the 10,000 Laws Palace. Let's find another opportunity later. If we have the chance, we'll kill all the other Monorigin Divine Sect disciples in the Myriad Laws Palace as well. A hint of killing intent flashed in Duan Lingtian's eyes when he reached the end of his sentence. Monarch Spirit Cult, this is not over yet. After Duan Lingtian returned to his dormitory, more and more people in the Myriad Arts Academy found out about the conflict between him and the Monorigin Spirit Cult's holy son, Wang Yunsheng. He also knew that Wang Yunsheng did not dare to accept his life or death challenge. Although most people still felt that Wang Yunsheng was stronger, at the same time, they either felt that Wang Yunsheng was too timid or too cautious. However, no matter what, Duan Lingtian was completely famous this time. Previously, the great majority of people had already forgotten about him. Yet now, they remembered him once again. Furthermore, they earnestly remembered him. Duan Lingtian. This heaven's pride from the remote 7 prefectures had first rejected Wang Yunxing's challenge. Then, more than a year later, he came looking for Wang Yunsheng and issued a life and death challenge to him. In the end, Wang Yunsheng chose to escape. It was said that one would become famous after a battle, but this time, Duan Lingtian had become famous without a battle. At the legacy bloodlines, those who were god emperors and above were speechless when they heard about the conflict between Duan Lingtian and Wang Yunsheng. Do we really care about Duan Lingtian? Why does it feel like he's in a hurry to die? Does he really think he's a match for Wang Yunsheng? If he really dies in Wang Yunsheng's hands in a life and death challenge, he can't blame us. It's a pity that Wang Yunsheng didn't accept his life and death challenge. Wang Yunsheng must be worried that Duan Lingtian is stronger than him. Wang Yunsheng is too timid. Those who were god emperors and above in the legacy bloodlines had received a warning from their superiors. They knew that not only could they not attack Duan Lingtian in the future, but they also had to protect Duan Lingtian when his life was in danger in the academy. Of course, if Duan Lingtian died in someone else's hands in a life and death challenge, they could not be blamed. The legacy bloodlines did not have a good impression of Duan Lingtian. In fact, they could not wait for Duan Lingtian to die. Now that they learned that Wang Yunsheng had missed the opportunity to kill Duan Lingtian, they naturally felt that it was a pity. At the same time, they also felt that Wang Yunsheng was too timid and cautious. A young man who was not even 3,000 years old would at most flaunt his prowess among the younger generation in the remote 7 prefectures. In the outside world, there were many people who were more outstanding than him. In Myriad Arts Academy, the students had their own small cliques. Those who came from the same faction naturally formed their own cliques. The Monorigin sect was no exception. At this moment, everyone in the small circle of the Monorigin divine sect, except for Wang Yunsheng, had gathered together. They were all gathered in the dormitory of a Monorigin sect disciple. What do you think the Holy Sun is thinking? That Duan Lingtian sent himself to his doorstep for him to kill, but he didn't kill him? A Monorigin sect disciple asked with a gloomy expression. Maybe the Holy Sun is afraid that he's not as good as Duan Lingtian and will be killed instead. Another Monarch Divine sect disciple said with a mocking expression. The Monorigin sect disciples who could come to Myriad Arts Academy were basically the cream of the crop among the younger generation. Even if they weren't as good as the Holy Sun, they weren't too far off. Some of them were even as talented as the Holy Sun. However, they weren't as strong as the Holy Sun because they hadn't enjoyed as many resources in the past. Hulanchi, a Monorigin sect disciple, reprimanded the disciple who had spoken first. Stop mocking and ridiculing us. I know you don't like the Holy Sun, but now isn't the time for internal strife. What are we gathered here for? Isn't it because of the Monorigin sect? Hulanchi was a handsome young man with a wicked smile on his face when he heard the reprimand of the Monarch Divine sect's disciple. He smiled faintly and said, "In my opinion, there's no need for us to gather for such a trivial matter. There's nothing to discuss. What's there to discuss? Let's discuss who among us will challenge the Duan Lingtian to a death duel and test his strength. If we find out that he's not strong enough, we'll ask the Holy Sun to challenge him to a death duel to avenge our humiliation." At this point, Hulanchi sneered, "Let me put my words here first. If you want to do something like this, do it yourselves. Don't count me in." As soon as he finished speaking, he turned around and left. After Hulanchi left, another 2 disciples of the Monorigin spirit sect followed suit. "I won't get involved in this matter either. It's not our fault in the first place. I'll take my leave as well. The few of you have a good relationship with the Holy Sun, so think of a way to help him." For a time, only 4 Monorigin sect disciples were left. They were either close to Wang Yunsheng, the Holy Sun of the Monorigin sect, or they were from Wang Yunsheng's faction. When the 3 of them left, the 4 of them had ugly expressions on their faces. However, after the 3 of them left, their expressions gradually eased. They knew it was useless to be angry at this time. The 3 of them were not afraid of them. In the first place, the 4 of them and Wang Yunsheng were not on good terms with the three of them. It was normal for them to leave without a care. Moreover, the three of them were not responsible for this matter. Even if news of this spread back to the Monorigin sect, nobody would blame them. Are we just going to let this matter go? At this moment, the four of them looked at each other and saw the unwillingness in each other's eyes. The three of them will definitely spread the news. If the Holy Sun can't avenge his humiliation, his status in the sect will definitely be affected. That's not a good thing for us. The Monorigin sect did not only have one Holy Sun. The Holy Sun's status often represented the faction he belonged to and the interests of the people around him. The four of them were different from the three who had left earlier. The three of them did not share the same interests as Wang Yunsheng, but the four of them shared the same interests as Wang Yunsheng. Do you think Duan Lingtian has the ability to defeat or even kill the Holy Sun? One of them asked in a deep voice. That's impossible. I think so too. I've seen the scryer recording of Duan Lingtian's battle. Although his strength is not bad, he's still lacking compared to the Holy Sun. Even if any one of us can't defeat him, it won't be easy for him to kill us. I think so too. The other three felt that Duan Lingtian was not a match for the Holy Sun. The Holy Sun is too cautious. However, if any one of us were to fight to the death with Duan Lingtian, the chances of us dying are much higher than the Holy Sun fighting him. The four of us can test Duan Lingtian, but a battle to the death is unrealistic. Although the strength he displayed in the scryer recording was extremely difficult to kill me, a long period of time has already passed since then. Who knows, his strength might have improved again. After all, he's not even 3,000 years old yet. I think so too. Based on their words, it was clear that none of them dared to fight to the death with Duan Lingtian. Let's see if he'll accept our challenge to a spar. Soon after, the four of them reached a consensus. Soon after, the four of them set off together and appeared outside dormitory number 2. One of them flew out and shouted, Duan Lingtian, I'm Hongli, a disciple of the Monorigin divine sect. I'm here to challenge you. Do you dare to spar with me? Hongli. As soon as the Monorigin divine sect's disciple Hongli finished speaking, the group of students in dormitory number 2 immediately came out to watch the show. In the distance, the people from the other dormitories, as well as the dormitories, who were free, came over to watch as well. Under the expectant gazes of the group of people, an indifferent voice came from dormitory 603 in dormitory number 2. I'm not interested in a spar. If you want to fight, let's fight to the death. Chapter 41:19. Duan Lingtian, you're afraid to fight me, right? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Hongli, the disciple from the Monorigin spirit sect who had been clamoring outside, had an ugly expression on his face. However, he forced himself to mock Duan Lingtian. Afraid? This time, as soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he walked out of room 603 and flew up into the sky. He stared at Hongli, who was standing nearby, and said indifferently, Is there something wrong with the people from the Monorigin spirit sect? I've already said that I'll accept your challenge if you want to fight me to the death. Now you're saying that I don't dare to fight you? Seems like the Monorigin spirit sect's disciples are just as useless as Wang Yunsheng. After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he shook his head lazily. Hong Li's face flushed red when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He almost challenged Duan Lingtian to a fight to the death, but in the end, his rationality prevailed over his impulse. He was not a fool. Before he figured out Duan Lingtian's background, even Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the Monorigin spirit sect, who was stronger than him, would not dare to fight Duan Lingtian to the death, let alone Hong Li, Duan Lingtian. At this time, the three disciples from the Monorigin spirit sect who had come with Hong Li also came to Hong Li's side and glared at Duan Lingtian. After all, Duan Lingtian had not only insulted Hong Li, but also the disciples of the Monorigin spirit sect. They were also disciples of the Monorigin spirit sect. Don't be too arrogant, Duan Lingtian. There are plenty of people in the Monorigin spirit sect who can deal with you. Duan Lingtian, do you really think that no one in the younger generation can deal with you? Duan Lingtian. The three men from the Monorigin sect who had just appeared were somewhat hysterical at the moment. They were considered geniuses in the Monorigin sect. Even in the myriad jurisprudence palace, they were the best among the students. But now, they were being called trashed by the person in front of them. How could they not be mad? 4 people. Duan Lingtian looked at the 4 people in front of him. His eyes narrowed, and a bright smile appeared on his face. How about this? Since you're all alone, you don't dare to fight me to the death? In that case, I'll allow you 4 pieces of trash to join the other piece of trash from the Monorigin spirit sect, Wang Yunsheng. The 5 of you will fight me 5 against 1. I will sign a life and death contract with the 5 of you. We will fight to the death. You pieces of trash, do you dare? If they were ordinary people, Duan Lingtian might be a little more polite to them. But for the people of the Mono spirit cult in front of him, there was only hatred and hatred. It was not that he was generalizing, but the people of the Monorigin spirit cult were not good people to begin with. Just like now, the gazes of the 4 people in front of him were filled with killing intent. If they had the chance to kill him, he believed that they would definitely not miss it. As soon as Duan Lingtian's voice fell, the group of students from the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace who came to watch the show were all stunned. Duan Lingtian issued another life and death challenge after Wang Yunxing's rejection of the life and death challenge. He alone was challenging 5 Monorigin spirit cult disciples, including Wang Yunsheng. One should know that not only Wang Yunsheng, but even the 4 people in front of them were not easy to deal with. At least, if the 4 of them joined forces, they could even defeat Wang Yunsheng. Wang Yunsheng is here too. At this time, someone saw Wang Yunsheng who had just stepped into the air from the dormitory. Many people also looked over at once. Haha, Wang Yunsheng, this time Duan Lingtian is not only challenging you to a life and death challenge, but also the 5 people of the Monorigin spirit cult. You won't refuse this time, right? Not far away, a person looked at Wang Yunsheng and asked with a laugh. This person was naturally not an ordinary person. He was a heaven's pride from another heavyweight force in the mystic gangland. At this time, he had a bright smile on his face, looking like he was enjoying the show. Wang Yunsheng is here too. Is Duan Lingtian crazy? He's challenging 5 people of the Monorigin spirit cult to a life and death challenge by himself? While the other students of the Myriad Arts Academy thought that Duan Lingtian was crazy, the 4 people of the Monorigin spirit cult, including Hongli, turned to look at Wang Yunxing in the distance. Junior brother Yunsheng, since Duan Lingtian wants to die, we'll fulfill his wish. You can't possibly think that he has the strength to kill the 5 of us alone, right? Hongli looked at Wang Yunsheng. When he transmitted his voice, the anger in his voice had not dissipated. Junior brother Yunxing, if the 5 of us join forces, who can't we kill in the mystic gangland under the age of 10,000? Even among the lesser god emperors, there are few who can stop us. Junior brother Yunsheng, the 4 people of the Monorigin spirit cult, including Hongli, transmitted their voices to Wang Yunsheng, asking him to join forces with them to accept Duan Lingtian's life and death challenge and kill Duan Lingtian. Wang Yunsheng is here too. At this time, Duan Lingtian's gaze also fell on Wang Yunxing in the distance, and a bright smile appeared on his face. It's better to come at the right time than to come early. Wang Yunsheng, I'm challenging the 5 of you to a life and death challenge. Don't tell me you still don't dare to accept? As Duan Lingtian spoke, he tried to suppress the light in the depths of his eyes that was on the verge of bursting out. Seeing that Wang Yunsheng still did not respond to Duan Lingtian's words, Hongli and the other Monorigin spirit cult disciples became anxious and hurriedly transmitted their voices to Wang Yunsheng again. At this time, the others were also looking at Wang Yunsheng. Wang Yunsheng, don't tell me you still don't dare to accept Duan Lingtian's life and death challenge? This Duan Lingtian is obviously deliberately mystifying things. If Wang Yunsheng and the other 4 join forces, in the mystic gangland, anyone below the lesser god emperor realm, I'm afraid no one can survive under their hands, right? I think so too. Even if it's the top prodigies of the giant ultimate god forces, I'm afraid no one below the god emperor realm would dare to fight against the 5 of them alone. If Wang Yunsheng still doesn't dare to accept Duan Lingtian's life and death challenge at this time, then he's really too cowardly. Listening to the words that came to his ears and listening to the urging of Hongli and the other 3, Wang Yunxing's face was gloomy and his eyes were indifferent. Did he want to accept Duan Lingtian's life and death challenge? Yes. However, now that he had sent a message to his lineage's old ancestor, a medium ultimate god, after a moment of hesitation, the old ancestor did not agree with him joining the battle. Although the old ancestor also believed that Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the other three could kill anyone below the God Emperor realm in the Mystic Gangland. However, after hearing that this was a life and death challenge initiated by Duan Lingtian, and thinking that Duan Lingtian was not even 3,000 years old and came from a mundane realm, he felt that the Duan Lingtian's demon was unimaginable for ordinary people. There was still a chance that he would fail. I'll get someone to contact the four of them. They have to accept this battle. However, that doesn't include you. With the four of them working together, they are stronger than you alone. Normally, even if Duan Lingtian is stronger than you, as long as he's not much stronger, the four of them together are enough to kill Duan Lingtian. You just have to keep quiet about this matter. I'll make the arrangements on my side. After hearing his old ancestor's words, Wang Yunsheng swallowed his anger. After a while, the four people who were urging Wang Yunsheng to join the battle also stopped sending voice transmissions to Wang Yunsheng. The four of them looked at each other and began to communicate through voice transmissions. My father wants me to join the three of you in accepting Duan Lingtian's life and death challenge. My mother told me the same thing. The four of us together are stronger than the Holy Sun. It won't be difficult to kill Duan Lingtian. I just don't know. Will this Duan Lingtian refuse on purpose? He'll only agree if the Holy Sun joins us. Let's ask first. The four of them did not have any objections to their elders asking them to join forces to accept Duan Lingtian's life and death challenge. This was because they felt that their combined strength was stronger than Wang Yunsheng, the Holy Sun. It would not be difficult for them to kill Duan Lingtian. While everyone's attention was still on Wang Yunsheng, Hongli and the other three people turned to look at Duan Lingtian. Hongli snorted coldly and said, Duan Lingtian, you're not worthy of the four of us and the Holy Sun joining forces. Don't you like life and death challenges? The four of us will play with you. What do you think? This is also taking care of you. If the Holy Sun joins us, you'll only die a worse death. Finally, Hongli looked at Duan Lingtian as though he was looking at a dead man. At this moment, everyone's attention shifted from Wang Yunsheng to Duan Lingtian. What's going on? Why did Hongli from the Monorigin spirit sect suddenly change his mind? Duan Lingtian is obviously trying to scare them. If they don't bring Wang Yunsheng along, the Duan Lingtian will have an excuse to reject them again. Is Wang Yunsheng that timid? Why isn't he joining the battle at this time? I used to think Wang Yunsheng was quite powerful. Now, it seems like he's just How can someone like him be worthy of being the Monorigin spirit sect's holy son? Many people's words revealed their disdain for Wang Yunsheng. These people had powerful backgrounds and were not weak. Therefore, they were not afraid of Wang Yunsheng. The four of you? Upon hearing Hong Li's words, Duan Lingtian had a mocking expression on his face. Don't you think too highly of yourselves? The four of you are trash. Are you worthy of me, Duan Lingtian, joining the battle and having a life and death duel with you? I'll say it again. The four of you will join forces with Wang Yunsheng. I'll sign a life and death contract with all of you to have a life and death duel. It won't do if one of you is missing. If you agree, sign a life and death contract. If you don't agree, forget it. After all, the people of the Monorigin spirit sect are all trash who are as timid as mice. After saying that, Duan Lingtian ignored the furious gazes of Hongli and the other three. His gaze landed on Wang Yunsheng from afar. It had already come to this point. Could Wang Yunsheng still hold back? He was really powerful. The teenage mutant ninja turtle. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Wang Yunsheng, who had been trying his best to control his emotions, could no longer bear the pressure in his heart. His eyes suddenly narrowed as he shouted, Duan Lingtian, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Wang Yunsheng had completely exploded. He could not bear it anymore. He did not even bother to send a message to his elders. End of chapter. Chapter 41:20. All geniuses were prideful. Wang Yunsheng had previously rejected Duan Lingtian's life or death challenge. He was already filled with anger. However, he was worried that Duan Lingtian had concealed his strength. He was afraid that Duan Lingtian would kill him. Therefore, he did not dare to accept Duan Lingtian's life or death challenge. At that time, he had endured it to avoid any accidents. Today, when Duan Lingtian issued a life or death challenge to him, Hong Li and the others, although he felt humiliated, he still had the intention of letting Hong Li and the other three test Duan Lingtian's strength. Although deep in his heart, he felt that Duan Lingtian was no match for the five of them, he still did not intend to accept the challenge. This time, it was no longer because he was afraid. It was more because he was afraid of embarrassing himself. After all, he was the holy son of the Monorigin spirit sect. He was also one of the best among the younger generation in the Myriad Law Palace. Even if he joined forces with Hong Li and the other three to kill Duan Lingtian, there was nothing to be proud of. However, now that Duan Lingtian had rejected Hong Li and the other three's challenge and insisted that he join the battle, coupled with the strange gazes from the surrounding people, he could not take it anymore. If he was embarrassed, so be it. Now, he only wanted to kill Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, now that I've accepted your life or death challenge, you won't go back on your word, right? After accepting Duan Lingtian's life or death challenge, Wang Yunsheng was in high spirits. He no longer looked as dispirited as before. When he stared at Duan Lingtian, his aura was like a rainbow. Duan Lingtian sneered. Now that I've given you 4 helpers, you're finally not a coward anymore? If I knew this would happen, I would have asked you to find helpers 2 days ago. As for going back on my word, why should I go back on my word? After all, in my eyes, you're no different from a dead man after accepting my life or death challenge. As soon as Duan Lingtian's words came out, Wang Yunsheng, Hong Li, and the others were instantly enraged. Arrogant. Duan Lingtian, go to the Hall of Life and Death and sign the life contract now. Duan Lingtian, I can't wait to kill you now. The Hall of Life and Death was the place where the Myriad Law Palace provided its disciples for life or death duels. Where there were people, there would be conflicts and battles. Some would even have a death grudge after their conflicts escalated. At that time, they needed a place to vent their emotions. The Hall of the Hall. The Hall of Life and Death was a place where not many people would go. There was only one teacher on duty, and this position was considered to be an idle position in the eyes of many people. The teachers on duty in the Hall of Life and Death usually cultivated in the Hall of Life and Death, and they would not be disturbed. They would only disturb them would disturbs to Lingtians. Recently, the teacher on duty at the Hall of Life and Death was called Yuan Dongchun. He was an upper divine emperor expert and was not far from the ultimate god realm. He had been trying to break through to the ultimate god realm recently. In his opinion, being on duty at the Hall of Life and Death was very leisurely. Even if he was cultivating in the Hall of Life and Death, he would not be disturbed. However, what he didn't expect was that the rule of not being interrupted when he was on duty in the Hall of Life and Death was broken when he was on duty this time. He was interrupted. Duan Lingtian? Yuan Dongchun was aware of Duan Lingtian's existence because he had only been on duty for 2 months. He had also heard that Duan Lingtian was challenged by Wang Yunsheng, the Monorigin Divine Sect's holy son, but Duan Lingtian had rejected the challenge. At that time, someone on the darknet had posted a mission against Duan Lingtian. It could be said that it had caused a stir in the academy. Even Yuan Dongchun knew about it. 2 days ago, Duan Lingtian challenged Wang Yunsheng to a life or death duel, and Wang Yunsheng rejected it. A year ago, Duan Lingtian had rejected Wang Yunsheng's challenge. Like most people, Yuan Dongchun felt that Duan Lingtian did not dare to accept the challenge because he felt that he was no match for Wang Yunsheng. Yuan Dongchun did not expect that after more than a year, Duan Lingtian would take the initiative to challenge Duan Lingtian. Moreover, it was a life or death duel. According to what Yuan Dongchun had said at that time, he had rejected Wang Yunsheng's challenge because he was concerned about Wang Yunsheng's reputation. As for his challenge to Wang Yunsheng this time, it was because he suspected that the Monorigin Divine Sect had attacked the forces of his relatives and friends in the lower planes and killed them all. Even if there is no evidence, it is most likely done by the Monorigin Divine Sect. Yuan Dongchun knew a little about the Monorigin Divine Sect. This kind of thing seemed to be done by the Monorigin divine sect, and the timing was right. Duan Lingtian's analysis was not wrong. However, what he did not expect was that Wang Yunsheng would reject Duan Lingtian's life or death challenge. Obviously, he is worried that Duan Lingtian is deliberately mystifying to scare him. He is worried that Duan Lingtian really has the strength to kill him. After all, once a life or death contract is signed in the Myriad Law Palace, even the Monorigin divine sect's leader can't change anything. Yuan Dongchun thought to himself. Of course, what shocked him the most was that 2 days after Duan Lingtian's life or death challenge was rejected by Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian actually issued another life or death challenge to Wang Yunsheng, and this time, he directly challenged 5 people from the Monorigin divine sect. 5 people, including Wang Yunsheng. The other 4 people were not weak either. If they joined hands, it would not be difficult to kill Wang Yunsheng in a life or death duel. This Duan Lingtian, is he crazy? He is deliberately scaring them, right? But if he is deliberately scaring them, then why did he come to the Hall of Life and Death? Yuan Dongchun was shocked. He found it hard to understand. However, according to the rules of the Hall of Life and Death, as long as both sides had a request and there was no objection, they could sign a life or death contract. As for admitting defeat, there was no requirement. As long as both sides agreed, it was fine. Duan Lingtian. Yuan Dongchun looked at Duan Lingtian sternly and reminded him in a deep voice, "You must know that once the life or death contract is signed, you and the 5 of them will fight to the death. Are you sure you want to sign a life or death contract?" While reminding Duan Lingtian, Yuan Dongchun also sent a message, "Vice Palace Master Yang, Duan Lingtian is going to have a life or death duel with 5 people from the Monorigin divine sect, including Wang Yunsheng. Are you aware of this?" Yuan Dongchun was just an ordinary teacher in the Myriad Law Palace and was not a member of the Myriad Law Palace's legacy. Before Duan Lingtian's 3rd senior brother, Yang Yuchen, stepped into the ultimate god realm, the 2 of them were friends and had a good relationship. Therefore, he immediately sent a message to Yang Yuchen to remind him. He hoped that Yang Yuchen would stop Duan Lingtian. In his opinion, Duan Lingtian was courting death. "What? Do you think my little junior brother is courting death?" Yang Yuchen, who received Yuan Dongchun's message, asked in a calm tone with a smile. Yuan Dongchun was shocked when he heard Yang Yuchen's words. "You mean, your little junior brother has the strength to kill the 5 of them?" Yuan Dongchun continued, "If that's the case, it's not very appropriate, is it? Even if it's reasonable to kill them under such circumstances, it's equivalent to putting the Monorigin divine sect on the opposite side. From now on, even if the Monorigin divine sect doesn't openly target your little junior brother, I'm afraid they'll secretly think of ways to kill him and those related to him." Yuan Dongchun reminded Yang Yuchen, "The Monorigin divine sect has already done so." Yang Yuchen said faintly, "Let's deal with this matter as it should be. Let nature take its course." At this moment, Yuan Dongchun was still shocked. "Did your little junior brother tell you himself that he's confident in killing Wang Yunsheng and the others?"
Yes.
Yang Yuchen replied. "Do you trust him that much? He's new here, so I'm afraid he doesn't know the strength of Wang Yunsheng and the others, right?" "I trust him." At this time, Yuan Dongchun did not say anything else. At the same time, he looked at Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the others who were not far away and asked in a deep voice, "Are you sure you want to sign a life and death contract with Duan Lingtian? You should know that if you sign a life and death contract, even if you die, the Monorigin divine sect won't be able to stand up for you. This is because you chose this path yourselves." In the face of Yuan Dongchun's reminder, Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the others naturally ignored it. "All right," Yuan Dongchun nodded. "Since you have no objections, then sign the life and death contract. Each of you write your name on it and press your palm print." At the same time, Yuan Dongchun raised his hand and took out a stone tablet. There were many lines of words written on it, and they were the terms of the life and death contract. As long as it was clear that the following life and death duel in the Hall of Life and Death was voluntary and had nothing to do with others. Even if they died, they would bear all the responsibility. It had nothing to do with the Wanda Law Palace or the person who killed them. Who's first? As soon as Yuan Dongchun finished speaking, Wang Yunsheng was the first to make a move. He wrote his name on the stone tablet and then gently patted his name, leaving his palm print. Duan Lingtian, I hope you won't run away. Wang Yunsheng looked at Duan Lingtian and smiled contemptuously. In his opinion, as long as Duan Lingtian had not signed the life and death contract, there was still room for regret. And he did not want Duan Lingtian to go back on his word. After all of you have signed it, I will naturally sign it. In the face of Wang Yunsheng's contempt, Duan Lingtian looked indifferent. Hearing his words, Wang Yunsheng looked at Hong Li and the other three. Immediately, the four of them also signed their names on the life and death contract and left their palm prints. Duan Lingtian, it's your turn. Hong Li sneered. At this time, the group of Wana Law Palace students who came to watch also looked at Duan Lingtian. At this critical moment, will Duan Lingtian run away? If he was just putting on an act from the beginning, he will definitely go back on his word now. If he really signed the life and death contract, it means that he has blind confidence in himself. If he signs the life and death contract, he will definitely die. In the end, under the group of people's shocked gazes, Duan Lingtian casually left the sixth name and sixth palm print below the life and death contract. The life and death contract is formed. Yuan Dongchuan's voice sounded at the right time. Chapter 41-21. The life and death contract is formed. As Yuan Dongchuan's voice fell, he casually threw the life and death contract steel into the Hall of Life and Death. The eyes of the group of Myriad Art Academy students who came to watch the show lit up. More and more people came to watch the show after receiving the message. Among them, there were even some teachers from Myriad Art Academy. Duan Lingtian wants to have a death duel with 5 people, including Wang Yunsheng and Hong Li. Is he crazy? Is he courting death? Now, those who came to watch the show heard that Duan Lingtian had signed a life and death contract with Wang Yunsheng and the other 4. Almost all of them felt that Duan Lingtian was courting death. If Wang Yunsheng and the other 4 joined forces, no one under 10,000 years old in the entire profound Handle land could be their match. Wang Yunsheng was one of the top young geniuses in the profound Handle land. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been conferred the title of Holy Son by the Monorigin Spirit Sect. Holy Son was a candidate for the next leader of the Monorigin Spirit Sect. The other 4 were also the top young geniuses in the Monorigin Spirit Sect. Any one of them wasn't Wang Yunsheng's match, but if the 4 of them joined forces, Wang Yunsheng would definitely die in a battle of life and death. If it was in the wilderness or an open area, he might be able to avoid the 4 of them with his superhuman speed. But in the Hall of Life and Death of Myriad Art Academy, it was unrealistic. I thought that Duan Lingtian was just scaring Wang Yunsheng and the others and wouldn't dare to sign the life and death contract. I didn't expect that he would sign it. I don't know what he's thinking. Is it because he doesn't know the strength of Wang Yunsheng and the others? That's obviously the case. Otherwise, how can we explain his behavior? In the profound Handle land, no one under 10,000 years old dares to say that they have the ability to kill Wang Yunsheng. Maybe no one even dares to say that they can defeat the 5 of them. But he, a person under 3,000 years old, actually wants to kill Wang Yunsheng and the others. Isn't he Vice Palace Master Yang's junior brother now? Shouldn't Vice Palace Master Yang stop him? I don't know. Maybe Vice Palace Master Yang is in seclusion and he acted on his own accord. In any case, Duan Lingtian had signed a life and death contract with Wang Yunsheng's group of 5. Moreover, according to the rules of Myriad Laws Academy, once a life and death contract was signed, there was no going back. If he went back on his word, it would be seen as a provocation to the Myriad Law Academy, and he would be executed by the Myriad Law Academy. Therefore, in the history of the Myriad Arts Academy, no one had ever gone back on their word after signing a life and death contract, because going back on their word meant certain death. If they didn't go back on their word, they would still have a chance to live. Moreover, under normal circumstances, those who dared to sign a life and death contract with others were people who had a certain level of confidence in their own strength. Since the life and death contract has been formed, you may enter the arena. Under Yuan Dongchuan's lead, Wang Yunsheng, Hong Li, and the other 4 entered the Hall of Life and Death first. Duan Lingtian followed closely behind, and behind them was a group of people who had rushed over to watch the show. Inside the Hall of Life and Death, it was spacious and empty. Following Yuan Dongchuan's hand gesture, the dimly lit hall became as bright as day. At this time, Duan Lingtian and the others could clearly see the situation inside the Hall of Life and Death. Inside the Hall of Life and Death, the entire hall was very spacious. In the middle of the hall, there was a faint circular light shield suspended in the air, giving off a mysterious and unpredictable feeling. And what was supporting this round light barrier was clearly a formation. That's the Hall of Life and Death's battle formation. It's said that the control of the formation is in the hands of the teacher on duty in the Hall of Life and Death. Only the old man on duty and the palace master himself can control this formation. This formation can even block the full-force attack of a godly venerable expert. I just don't know if the godly venerable expert mentioned is just a lower godly venerable. However, even if it's just a lower godly venerable, it's still shocking enough. Duan Lingtian, Wang Yunsheng, and the other four have signed a life and death contract. According to the rules, the formation won't be opened until one of them is dead. During this period, no one can rescue them and no one can. Otherwise, it will be seen as a challenge to the Academy, and they will be executed by the Academy. Duan Lingtian, there's no turning back. What a pity. A talented genius is going to fall here today. Yeah, what a pity. Now, almost no one thought that Duan Lingtian could survive. Yuan Dongchun, who was on duty in the Hall of Life and Death, was also doubting whether what Yang Yuqin said was true. Did Duan Lingtian really have the ability to kill Wang Yunsheng and the other four? Based on his understanding of Yang Yuqin would not lie to him. However, this matter seemed a little unbelievable, right? If Duan Lingtian really had the ability, in the mysterious gangland, he could be considered invincible under 10,000 years old. In the various planes of gods, including the mysterious gangland, only those under 10,000 years old could be considered as the younger generation. If Duan Lingtian really fought against 5 and killed Wang Yunsheng and the other 4, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him the number 1 of the younger generation in the mysterious gangland. Does Duan Lingtian really have the ability to do so? Although he was doubtful and didn't want Duan Lingtian to fall, after all, Duan Lingtian was the junior brother of his old friend Yang Yuqin. However, he also knew that after signing the life and death contract, there was no turning back for Duan Lingtian. Even he couldn't interfere. If he interfered, he wouldn't be able to escape death either. At this time, only the Myriad Arts Academy's palace master had the ability to stop this life and death duel. Of course, the palace master would definitely not do such a thing. Once he did, not only would there be people questioning the palace master, but even more people would question the credibility of the Myriad Arts Academy. There's no turning back. Yuan Dongchun sighed again in his heart and looked at Duan Lingtian, Wang Yunsheng, and the other 4. He said in a deep voice, "Now, I'll lead you into the life and death arena. Don't resist the power I've shrouded you with. After entering the life and death arena, don't make a move for the time being. You must wait until the life and death bell in the Hall of Life and Death rings. Otherwise, you'll be obliterated by the life and death arena's formation." Yuan Dongchun warned. Following his words, Duan Lingtian discovered a powerful force sweeping toward him and wrapping around him in the blink of an eye. It was obvious that this was the power of Yuan Dongchun, the teacher on duty at the Hall of Life and Death. At the same time, he also saw that not only was he being brought into the huge circle at the center of the hall, but Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the others were also brought into the circle. The others can only watch from afar. If you get too close and are killed by the life and death arena's formation, the Hall of Life and Death won't be responsible for it. Yuan Dongchuan's next sentence also caused the group of people who came to watch the show to stop in their tracks. Many of them were so shocked that they sucked in a breath of cold air. If they were killed by the life and death arena's formation, they would have died for nothing. How could Duan Lingtian be so foolish? Among the crowd, one of them shook his head and sighed. He was none other than Duan Lingtian's roommate from the Myriad Arts Academy, Tan Fei. Tan Fei had also heard that Duan Lingtian was going to have a life and death duel with Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the others. At the same time, he regretted not coming out earlier. He might have been able to persuade Duan Lingtian. Of course, He also knew in his heart that it was unlikely that he would be able to persuade Duan Lingtian. Would no one persuade Duan Lingtian? Although Duan Lingtian had not been in the Myriad Arts Academy for long, since he had become Vice Palace Master Yang's junior brother, there would be many people who were on good terms with him. They warned him openly because they were afraid of offending the people from the Monorigin Spirit sect. However, it was impossible for the people from the Monorigin Spirit sect to know anything about it. In fact, along the way to the Hall of Life and Death, Duan Lingtian had indeed received many messages advising him not to have a life and death duel with Wang Yunsheng and the others. However, he did not pay any attention to them. He did not want to miss out on such a good opportunity. Moreover, everyone thought he would be the only one to die in this battle. But was that really the case? Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Lingtian entered the hall. Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the other four also entered the hall. This time, Duan Lingtian is dead for sure. Among the crowd outside, there were 3 people gathered together. They were none other than the other 3 people from the Monorigin Spirit sect who had come to the Myriad Arts Academy. They were also the 3 people who had previously disagreed with Hongli and the others. When they learned that Duan Lingtian was going to have a life and death duel with Wang Yunsheng and the others, they had also rushed over. At the same time, they also felt that Duan Lingtian was going to die without a doubt. Humph! Among the 3 people, the Monorigin Spirit sect disciple whose strength was second only to Wang Yunsheng among the 7 young geniuses of the Myriad Arts Academy, who Lanqi snorted coldly, Wang Yunsheng is really getting worse and worse. It's just Duan Lingtian. But he actually dares to fight with Hongli and the others, who Lanqi's words clearly showed some contempt for Wang Yunsheng's approach. In my opinion, you're more suitable to be a holy son, senior brother Hu. One of the 2 people next to him said with a smile, Wang Yunsheng might have been stronger than you in the past, senior brother Hu, but that might not be the case now. That's right, the other person chimed in, who in the Monorigin Spirit sect doesn't know that Wang Yunsheng was able to become a holy son because of his good birth? If you have his background, you'll definitely be more outstanding than him. In the life and death duel, Duan Lingtian, Wang Yunsheng, Hongli, and the others faced each other. Outside, the number of people who had come to watch the show continued to increase. Duan Lingtian waited quietly for the life and death bell to ring in the Hall of Life and Death because it meant that he could make a move. At this moment, his divine energy had already surged through his 99 heavenly veins, ready to be unleashed. Wang Yunsheng and the others were about the same. Junior brother Yunsheng. At this time, Hongli transmitted his voice to Wang Yunsheng. Why don't you fight with Duan Lingtian first? If you can kill him with your own strength, the voices that doubt you will naturally disappear. If you can't defeat him, we'll join forces to kill him. What do you think? Hongli was clearly thinking for Wang Yunsheng's sake. When Wang Yunsheng heard this, he was naturally moved. Chapter 41-22. All geniuses were prideful. As the holy son of the Monorigin Spirit sect, Wang Yunsheng was no exception. Therefore, he was very tempted after hearing Hongli's suggestion. As long as he killed Duan Lingtian on his own, the voices that questioned him earlier would vanish. It should be known that it was not only the group of students in the Myriad Law Palace who questioned his strength. Even those in the Monorigin Spirit sect who knew that he did not dare to accept Duan Lingtian's challenge to a battle to the death were also full of doubts. In fact, many people in the Monorigin Spirit sect were saying that he had embarrassed the sect and was not worthy to be the holy son of the Monorigin Spirit sect. Under such pressure, it was impossible for Wang Yunsheng to not care. Today, if Duan Lingtian was killed by me, Hongli, and the other 3, no one will think that I, Wang Yunsheng, am stronger than Duan Lingtian. They will still think the same in the future. If Duan Lingtian dies, I won't have the chance to prove myself. But now, just as Hongli said, if I kill him with my own strength, I can clear my name. If I'm not as good as him, I won't be killed by him with Hongli and the other 3 by my side. If I'm not as good as him, I'll accept it. At this moment, Wang Yunsheng still felt that Duan Lingtian might not be as good as him in the depths of his heart. As for the reason why Duan Lingtian challenged him to a battle to the death, it was nothing more than deliberately mystifying. thinking that he could scare him. Perhaps it was also because Duan Lingtian was blindly confident in himself. Just like now, he actually wanted to fight him, Hongli, and the other three by himself. This was simply courting death. With the strength of the five of them, once they joined forces, he did not think that there was anyone among the younger generation in the mystic gangland who could not be killed by the five of them. If it was a spacious environment, the other party might be able to escape with his speed. However, in an environment like the life and death arena in the Hall of Life and Death, there was no way to escape. The only way was to fight. Senior brother Hongli, let's do as you say. Discuss this with the other three senior brothers and inform me. Then, when the bell of life and death rings, I will have a one-on-one duel with this Duan Lingtian. If we can successfully kill him, I, Wang Yunsheng, will definitely repay the four of you generously in the future. Wang Yunsheng transmitted his voice to Hong Li. Junior brother Yunsheng, you're too polite. The four of us are on the same boat as you, junior martial brother Yunsheng. It's only natural that we support each other. As soon as he finished speaking, Hong Li contacted the other three people. The other three didn't have any objections either. At the same time, he also felt that this was the right thing to do. Just as Hong Li had said to Wang Yunsheng, in the monarch spirit sect, they and Wang Yunsheng could be considered to be of the same lineage, and their lineage only had Wang Yunsheng as a holy son. If Wang Yunsheng didn't do well in the Monuan spirit cult, it wouldn't be a good thing for them. On the other hand, if Wang Yunsheng did well and even became the sect leader of the Monuan spirit cult in the future, their status and treatment in the Monuan spirit cult would definitely rise as well. They and Wang Yunsheng were bound together for glory and disgrace. Junior martial brother Yunsheng, the four of us will always keep an eye on you and Duan Lingtian. As soon as you show any signs of weakness, we'll immediately join forces with you to kill this Duan Lingtian. Junior martial brother Yunsheng, don't worry and go all out to kill this Duan Lingtian. It's best if you can kill him, but it's fine if you can't. We'll support you. This time, it wasn't just Hong Li. The other three disciples of the Monuan spirit sect were also communicating with Wang Yunsheng through voice transmission so that he wouldn't feel pressured. All he had to do was to fight to the death with Duan Lingtian. When Wang Yunsheng heard this, he naturally thanked them repeatedly. At the same time, he felt much more at ease. Then, his gaze on Duan Lingtian became even sharper. This Wang Yunsheng, Duan Lingtian's attention had always been on Wang Yunsheng. He could vaguely sense the subtle changes in Wang Yunsheng, but he did not know why Wang Yunsheng had changed so much. Just like Wang Yunsheng, he was waiting for the bell of life and death to ring. Outside the life and death arena, the spectating students and teachers from Myriad Law Palace were also waiting for the bell of life and death to ring. After a while, the bell of life and death still did not ring. Many of the students who were less patient became impatient. Is it about time? It's been almost 15 minutes since they entered the arena. Why hasn't the bell of life and death rung yet? Isn't it said that the bell of life and death will ring 15 minutes after both parties enter the arena for the death duel in the Hall of Life and Death? Right now, it seems like it's only been 15 minutes since they entered the arena. It's said that these 15 minutes are meant for each of them. After all, once the bell of life and death rings, they'll have to fight to the death. Say, how long do you think Duan Lingtian can last? If Wang Yunsheng and the other four attack together from the start, I'm afraid that Duan Lingtian won't be able to last more than 3 breaths. When the spectating students saw that the life and death duel had yet to begin, they began to whisper to each other. Quite a number of them were even guessing when Duan Lingtian would die. Evidently, in their eyes, Duan Lingtian was already a dead man. The life and death arena's formation did not isolate sound. Given Duan Lingtian's hearing, he naturally heard the group of people who did not think highly of him. With regards to this, his heart did not waver. After a while, the bell of life and death that everyone had been waiting for finally rang out. Dong. The sound of the bell of life and death reverberated within the Hall of Life and Death. The sound was actually not loud, but when it entered the ears of everyone in the Hall of Life and Death, it caused their bodies to tremble. Subsequently, when their gazes landed on the life and death arena, they discovered that Wang Yunsheng, Hong Li, and the other three beside him had simultaneously moved. Wang Yunsheng directly charged towards Duan Lingtian. On the other hand, Hongli and the other three did not rush towards Duan Lingtian. Instead, they stood to one side and gathered together to watch the battle. Evidently, they did not plan to directly attack. Wang Yunsheng wants to fight Duan Lingtian one-on-one? This scene also caused everyone to be startled. However, someone quickly regained his senses and said in realization, "I understand now." This Wang Yunsheng wants to fight Duan Lingtian himself to prove that he is not inferior to Duan Lingtian. I also understand. If he kills Duan Lingtian by himself, the voices that previously questioned him will definitely disappear. Moreover, if he is really no match for Duan Lingtian, Hongli and the other three will definitely join forces with him to deal with Duan Lingtian at the first opportunity. Do all of you think Wang Yunsheng can kill Duan Lingtian by himself? I think Duan Lingtian is so arrogant that he dares to engage in a life and death duel with the five of them. Moreover, we all think that he will definitely die. However, I feel that since he dares to do so, he must have a certain level of confidence in his own strength. In a one-on-one battle, Wang Yunsheng might not be his match. I don't think so. In my opinion, this Duan Lingtian is an arrogant, egotistical person who does not know the immensity of heaven and earth. While the crowd outside the life and death arena was discussing animatedly, they saw Wang Yunsheng charging towards them alone, and then saw Hongli and the other three supporting Duan Lingtian at the side. They were first stunned before they reacted. At this moment, the discussion outside also entered their ears. He wants to clear his name by fighting one-on-one? If he is no match for him, Hongli and the other three will attack. Is he using me as a stepping stone? Duan Lingtian was amused. However, at the same time, a glint flashed in his eyes and the corners of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. Since you're in a hurry to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Whoosh! The moment Wang Yunsheng charged towards him, Duan Lingtian, who seemed to be unprepared, suddenly paused and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Even Wang Yunsheng had lost his target, Duan Lingtian. Teleportation? Wang Yunsheng sneered. Where can you teleport to in this life and death arena? As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Yunsheng charged towards Duan Lingtian, who had just appeared in another corner of the life and death arena not far away. This Duan Lingtian has mastered the law of space to teleport twice. He will definitely teleport a second time. After he teleports a second time, we'll get closer and support him. Hongli sent a voice transmission to the other three people beside him. The other three people nodded when they heard Hong Li's words. They also felt that Hong Li's words made sense. At the same time, they subconsciously felt that with the strength of Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the Monorigin spirit sect, even if he could not defeat Duan Lingtian, he would definitely be able to survive until they came to his rescue. Even if they were a little further away from Duan Lingtian, they would be able to teleport across the entire life and death arena. At the same time, many people outside the life and death arena began to whisper again. Duan Lingtian is going to teleport twice next. Second teleportation? From what I know, the earliest person who grasped the second teleportation was also a lower god emperor who grasped the second teleportation. This Duan Lingtian is only a middle god emperor, but he has mastered teleportation twice. It's really terrifying. I've never seen a divine emperor use teleportation twice before. Duan Lingtian has left a deep impression on me since he was able to show me this before he died. Now, most people thought that Duan Lingtian would perform teleportation twice after being chased by Wang Yunsheng. Teleportation twice would not only give him more time to prepare, but it would also further deplete Wang Yunsheng's divine power. Even if the depletion was not much, it was still depletion. If the depletion was greater, his strength would naturally be affected. Even if it was only a slight effect, it was still an effect. Duan Lingtian, do you only know how to dodge? Wang Yunsheng asked with a cold smile as he charged towards Duan Lingtian again. As soon as he finished speaking, he was already close to Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian saw Wang Yunsheng approaching again, he smiled faintly and said, "Since you don't want me to dodge, then I won't dodge." As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian's body swayed, and he teleported again. The second teleportation that everyone had been waiting for finally appeared. Get ready to go. Hong Li transmitted his voice to the other 3 people beside him. At the same time, he stared at every corner of the life and death arena, preparing to approach Duan Lingtian after his second teleportation. Chapter 41-23. Hong Li and the other 3 disciples of the Monorigin spirit sect were about to approach Duan Lingtian after his second teleportation. However, in the next moment, they were all stunned. The crowd outside the life and death arena was also stunned. Even the teacher of the Myriad Arts Academy, Yuan Dongchun, who was currently on duty in the life and death arena, was stunned like the others. This, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Duan Lingtian had indeed performed a second teleportation. However, the destination of this second teleportation was not as far away from Wang Yunxing as the others had imagined. Instead, it was in Wang Yunxing's path. After the second teleportation, Duan Lingtian appeared in Wang Yunxing's path. As soon as he appeared, an extremely terrifying spatial storm swept up around him. Humph! In the face of Duan Lingtian's surprise attack, Wang Yunxing's expression did not change. His body radiated light, and the divine artifact in his hand vibrated. Duan Lingtian, you finally stopped hiding. In that case, I've overestimated you. As Wang Yunxing spoke, he made his move. The divine artifact vibrated, and terrifying divine power, combined with the Dharma that he was proficient in, swept out in an overwhelming manner. In fact, this was also his all-out attack that he had been accumulating power for. Because of this, even if Duan Lingtian appeared in his path and took the initiative to approach him, he was not afraid at all. At the same time, the spatial storm raged around Duan Lingtian, who was extremely close to Wang Yunxing, who had made his move at lightning speed, said calmly, I don't care if a dead man overestimates me. As soon as Duan Lingtian's words left his mouth, the spatial storm around him suddenly changed. Control. The way of control was displayed at this moment. Duan Lingtian's current mastery of the Sword Dao was no longer the same as before. In the ruin of the Supreme Powerhouse, Duan Lingtian's mastery of the Sword Dao had improved a few times. In fact, it had even surpassed his mastery of the Sword Dao. Whoosh! Whoosh! The spatial storm around Duan Lingtian grew even more terrifying. It was constantly twisting and turning. It looked like a tornado. A tornado formed completely from the twisting and turning of spatial energy. In this tornado, the onlookers saw that the space inside seemed to be constantly crumbling. The crumbling space turned into fragments of space and joined the tornado. While everyone's attention was temporarily attracted by this sudden spatial storm, rainbow-colored light sword appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. Then, a beautiful rainbow-colored figure flashed and merged with the light sword. This is Wang Yunxing, who was the closest, was the first to react. His expression changed dramatically. A full soul high-grade divine sword. How is that possible? This was the only thought in Wang Yunxing's mind at this moment. In fact, due to Wang Yunxing's overly emotional state, his attacks were affected to a certain extent. The Holy Son of Monorigin Spirit Sect is just... The others, including Hong Li and the other 3, had just recovered from the spatial storm around Duan Lingtian and were once again shocked by the divine sword that Duan Lingtian had taken out. At this moment, Duan Lingtian's voice was heard. Before Hong Li and the others could regain their senses from the 7 orifices exquisite sword that appeared in front of Duan Lingtian, they saw Duan Lingtian's sword piercing through Wang Yunxing's thunderous attack as though it was nothing more than a piece of rotten wood being crushed by the 7 orifices exquisite sword. Although Wang Yunxing's attack was thunderous, it was only because he was stunned by the sight of Duan Lingtian taking out a full soul prominent divine sword. Due to this reason, the force of his attack had weakened a little. Whoosh! The sword swept out, and the rainbow-colored light illuminated the entire life and death arena. After destroying Wang Yunxing's attack, it continued to attack him. Junior brother Yunxing? Junior brother Yunxing? Hong Li and the other 3 who had recovered from the shock did not even have time to discuss the matter. They moved at the same time and flew toward Duan Lingtian and Wang Yunxing. However, when they were halfway there, the rainbow-colored light emitted by the 7 orifices exquisite sword in Duan Lingtian's hand swallowed Wang Yunqing's body. Wang Yunqing's body turned into specks of light in the rainbow-colored light and fell silently to the ground in the blink of an eye. Only his full soul high-grade divine weapon was left. Duan Lingtian casually put it away. Wang Yunqing, the holy son of Monorigin spirit sect, was dead. To the crowd outside the life and death arena, everything happened in the blink of an eye. Before they could recover from the shock of the rainbow-colored sword that Duan Lingtian had taken out, Duan Lingtian had already made his move. Not only did he shatter Wang Yunqing's attack, but he also killed Wang Yunqing with one strike. Everything happened so quickly that it was too much for the eyes to take in. That's a full soul high-grade divine weapon? It's a full soul high-grade divine weapon. And it's a full soul high-grade divine sword. Did Vice Palace Master Yang lend it to him? If so, isn't that against the rules? There's a rule in the Hall of Death that a senior is not allowed to lend a half-soul high-grade divine weapon or a full soul high-grade divine weapon. It's not Vice Palace Master Yang's sword. At this moment, not many people seemed to care about Wang Yunqing's death. Everyone's attention was on the rainbow-colored sword in Duan Lingtian's hand. Numerous gazes converged on him. Some of them carried envy, some of them carried shock, some of them carried disbelief, and some of them carried jealousy. A full soul high-grade divine sword. Duan Lingtian, you've broken the rules. At this moment, Hong Li and the other 3 who were flying in midair and had managed to stop in time after Wang Yunqing's death had an ugly expression on their faces. Teacher, Duan Lingtian has broken the rules. Are you not going to do anything about it? Hong Li and the other 3 stared vigilantly at Duan Lingtian as they asked in a low voice. They were naturally asking the teacher of Myriad Arts Academy, Yuan Dongchun, who was on duty in the Hall of Life and Death today. Upon hearing this, Yuan Dongchun struck out a series of palm prints at the right time. Suddenly, the formation of the life and death arena changed. A barrier appeared between Duan Lingtian and the other 3, separating the two. Obviously, this was to prevent both sides from attacking each other again. Duan Lingtian. Yuan Dongchun flew out and looked at Duan Lingtian in the life and death arena. He asked in a low voice, "Where did the full soul high-grade divine sword in your hand come from?" Faced with Yuan Dongchun's question, Duan Lingtian looked at Yuan Dongchun and smiled faintly. Teacher, everyone has their own fortuitous encounters. It's not convenient for me to say this, but I don't have to, right? You cannot say it. Yuan Dongchun nodded. However, if you use this divine sword in the life and death arena, unless you can prove that this is your own divine sword and not a temporary gift from someone else, otherwise, it's a violation of the rules of Myriad Arts Academy and the Hall of Life and Death. Breaking the rules by using a full soul high-grade divine sword to kill your opponent. If you can't prove that the divine sword was not borrowed by someone else, you won't be able to escape death either. As soon as Yuan Dongchun said this, the hearts of everyone present trembled. Yes, there were rules in Myriad Arts Academy. In the Hall of Life and Death, half or full soul high-grade divine weapons were not allowed unless it was one's own divine weapon. Otherwise, it would be a violation of the rules. After breaking the rules, if one only injured the opponent, the punishment would not be death. However, if one killed the opponent, one was destined to die. This is my divine weapon, Duan Lingtian said indifferently. The rules of the Hall of Life and Death are clearly written on the wall. If it's not my divine weapon, how would I dare to use it? If the Academy doesn't believe me, they can investigate. If they find out that this divine sword was lent to me by someone else, they can kill me at any time. In any case, I don't plan to leave Myriad Arts Academy for the time being. Of course, before they find out, the Academy can also ground me. At this point, Duan Lingtian continued, in addition, I can make a heart demon blood oath. From today onwards, as long as I, Duan Lingtian, am not dead, this divine sword will not be given to anyone else. If I return it to anyone else, I, Duan Lingtian, am willing to die. As soon as he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian directly made a heart demon blood oath without waiting for Yuan Dongchun to speak. A self-proving speech, coupled with a heart demon blood oath. At this moment, no one doubted Duan Lingtian's words anymore. More people looked at Duan Lingtian with envy and jealousy. Duan Lingtian is only a divine emperor, but he already has his own full-soul high-grade divine weapon? Heavens! Did he obtain the inheritance of a supreme expert? Or is it the complete inheritance of a supreme god? No wonder he dared to challenge Wang Yunsheng to a life-and-death duel. It turns out that he has a full-soul high-grade divine sword. While the crowd was in an uproar, Hong Li and the other three's expressions were extremely ugly. At the same time, they said to Yuan Dongchun, "Teacher, up until now, it's only his side of the story. Who knows if this sword was lent to him by someone else?" As for the Academy's investigation that he mentioned, when did the investigation results come out? As for the Heart Demon Blood Oath, if he kills junior brother Yunxing and us today, even if he dies because of the Heart Demon Blood Oath in the future, wouldn't we have died in vain? We suggest that this life-and-death duel be cancelled. Hong Li and the other three all advocated for the cancellation of the life-and-death duel. Duan Lingtian had killed Wang Yunsheng with one blow. Even if Wang Yunsheng was shocked by the full-soul high-grade divine sword and was distracted, one could not ignore Duan Lingtian's strength. A full-soul high-grade divine sword, generally speaking, only upper god emperors and above could possess such a divine weapon. Moreover, ordinary upper god emperors might not even possess a full-soul high-grade divine sword. There's another way to prove whether Duan Lingtian borrowed this sword from someone else. At this time, a Myriad Arts Academy teacher who was watching from the sidelines spoke. He looked at Yuan Dongchun and said bluntly, "Teacher Yuan, the weapon soul of your full-soul high-grade divine weapon is also a woman. If Duan Lingtian is innocent, let your weapon soul examine his weapon soul to see if there's a second person's aura in it. If a full-soul high-grade divine weapon changes owners in a short period of time, there'll definitely be remnants of the previous owner's aura in the weapon soul." Chapter 41-24. Duan Lingtian glanced at Yuan Dongchun in surprise when he heard what the 10,000 Arts Academy teacher said to Yuan Dongchun outside the life and death arena. This teacher actually had a full-soul high-quality divine weapon. Not just anyone could have a full-soul high-quality divine weapon. Not even a higher god emperor could have one. A full-soul high-quality divine weapon mainly relied on one's own creation of the weapon soul. Other than that, one could only follow the path of inheritance. For example, after someone failed a tribulation or died in an accident, they left behind a full-soul high-quality divine weapon for their descendants. However, such situations were rare. This was because there were very few full-soul high-quality divine weapons that could be inherited. Not all full-soul high-quality divine weapons could be inherited. Generally, a full-soul high-quality divine weapon, even if its weapon soul was complete, would often choose to follow its master after his death because of its limited intelligence. Those weapon souls were one-track minded. Even if their master dissuaded them, they would not listen. They only knew that they were born for their master. If their master was gone, there was no reason for them to exist. Only those weapon souls whose intelligence had been developed to a certain extent and were no different from ordinary people could possibly survive after their master's death. The development of a weapon soul's intelligence required time. Even the weapon soul of an ordinary full-soul high-quality divine weapon had not developed to the point where it could be inherited by others. Duan Lingtian, do you have any objections? Yuan Dongchun heard the reminder and looked at Duan Lingtian and asked. Duan Lingtian shrugged and said, "I have no objections. Teacher, even if the Monorigin spirit sect sent someone to check after their master's death, I have no objections, let alone your weapon soul. However, the prerequisite is that the weapon soul of the person sent by the Monorigin spirit sect must also be a female weapon soul. Weapon souls might not have a gender in the beginning. However, when a weapon soul had a certain level of intelligence, it was no different from a normal life form. It had a rejection from the depths of its soul toward a foreign weapon soul." As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, the expressions of Hong Li and the others changed instantly. This Duan Lingtian was so unscrupulous? Could it be that the full-soul high-quality divine sword in his hand was really his? If that's the case, then let the sword spirit of your divine sword come out. As Yuan Dongshun spoke, a divine weapon appeared before him. It was a long and narrow curved blade. It was like a bright moon. Then, a beautiful figure appeared on the moon. A woman in a silver-white outfit with a sacred aura appeared. The woman's face was beautiful and perfect. She gave off a gentle feeling, and no one would have any blasphemous thoughts towards her. Obviously, this was the saber soul of Yuan Dongchuan's divine saber. Its teacher Yuan's moonlight flowing blade. Outside the life and death arena, a few students cried out in surprise. Clearly, they knew that Yuan Dongchuan's teacher had such a god artifact and even knew its name. It said that Master Yuan Dongshun is about to enter the godly venerable realm. No wonder he has a high-grade full-soul divine artifact. Moonlight Flowing Blade? That's a great name. This teacher Yuan is not simple. While the crowd was whispering, Duan Lingtian let Huang come out from the seven orifices exquisite sword. Once again, a rainbow light swept out and lit up the entire hall of life and death. Huang who was wearing a rainbow robe, stood in the air. Her body was emitting a sacred rainbow light. It was dazzling. As soon as she appeared, everything around her seemed to be overshadowed. This sword spirit. At this moment, many people were stunned. Why do I feel that Duan Lingtian's sword spirit's eyes are more intelligent than teacher Yuan's saber soul? Duan Lingtian's divine sword spirit is more mature than teacher Yuan's divine saber soul. I'm afraid only the divine weapon spirit of a godly venerable realm expert would have such intelligence. At this moment, many people with good eyesight could see that the sword spirit of Duan Lingtian's divine sword was not simple. Even Yuan Dongshun had a look of surprise on her face. However, he immediately let his saber soul enter the ring of life and death. Duan Lingtian, let your sword spirit cooperate with her to investigate. You won't hurt her. Tell her not to worry. Okay. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he quickly called out to Hua and Huang responded respectfully. Immediately after, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, a sacred white light extended from Yuan Dongchuan's saber soul. It swept out and shrouded Duan Lingtian's sword spirit. After a while, the white light pulsed rhythmically. After about 10 breaths of time, the white light left Duan Lingtian's sword spirit and returned to Yuan Dongchuan's saber soul. When all the white light was withdrawn into the body, the saber soul turned around and glanced at Yuan Dongshun before shaking its head. Then, she allowed Yuan Dongshun to bring her out of the life and death ring. It can be confirmed that the divine sword in Duan Lingtian's hand was not lent to him by someone for the life and death battle. Duan Lingtian didn't break the rules by using this divine sword against the enemy. Yuan Dongshun continued. Next, the battle of life and death will continue. After Yuan Dongchuan's words sounded, the energy barrier that isolated Duan Lingtian, Hongli, and the other three gradually faded into an illusionary figure. At this moment, the energy barrier that separated the four of them and Duan Lingtian from the life and death arena was fading, and it would disappear soon. The expression of one of the people beside Hongli changed drastically. At the same time, he looked at Yuan Dongshun and cried out in shock, "Teacher Yuan, I regret it. I admit defeat." As soon as this person spoke, Hongli and the other two people immediately followed suit. "Teacher Yuan, we didn't know Duan Lingtian had a high-grade artifact with a complete soul as his trump card. We admit defeat. Teacher Yuan, please forgive our ignorance. Please remove the life and death pact between us and Duan Lingtian." At this moment, Hongli and the other three people had lost all will to fight. Until now, they still did not think Duan Lingtian was stronger than Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the Monorigin spirit sect, if he did not use a high-grade artifact with a complete soul. Even if Wang Yunsheng died in Duan Lingtian's hands, they still felt that it was due to the high-grade artifact with a complete soul. A high-grade artifact with a complete soul was too powerful. However, they did not even have a half-grade artifact with a high-grade artifact without a soul. How could they fight Duan Lingtian if they only had a high-grade artifact without a soul? Wang Yunsheng had been killed in an instant. Even if they were stronger than Wang Yunsheng when they joined forces, they did not stand a chance against Duan Lingtian, who had a high-grade artifact with a complete soul. Since Duan Lingtian did not violate the rules, the life and death duel will naturally continue. Before Yuan Dongchun could speak, many people outside the life and death duel had already begun to jeer. That's right. If he did not violate the rules, why should he remove the life and death pact? The life and death duel is voluntary. As for whether the other party has concealed his strength, it does not affect the life and death duel. As the crowd jeered, the energy barrier that separated Duan Lingtian from Hong Li and the other three people in the life and death duel completely disappeared. Huang who was dressed in a rainbow-colored robe, once again entered the seven orifices exquisite sword in Duan Lingtian's hand. The rainbow-colored light on the seven orifices exquisite sword became even more dazzling. The life and death duel will continue. At this moment, Yuan Dongchun spoke again. When Hong Li and the other three people heard this, a look of despair appeared on their faces. After a moment of despair, a ferocious look appeared on their faces. Since there's no way to avoid it, let's fight. Let's fight. If we can snatch the divine sword in Duan Lingtian's hand, we can turn the tables, cut off his arm, separate him from his divine sword, and cut off their connection. If we don't fight, we'll definitely die. Let's fight. Seeing that the life and death duel was not going to be cancelled, Hong Li and the other three people calmed down at this critical moment. Then, they took the initiative to attack Duan Lingtian. The four of them joined forces and their aura was domineering. Four different colored energies swept toward Duan Lingtian from different angles. It was as if four dragons were attacking, and their target was Duan Lingtian. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian's expression remained indifferent. In just a flash, he disappeared from his spot. When he appeared again, he was already in Hong Li's path. Then, at the instant Hong Li's expression changed drastically, a sword whistled out. Just like how it had killed Wang Yunsheng, it first destroyed Hong Li's attack as easily as crushing dry weeds before killing Hong Li. With the seven orifices exquisite sword, the way of control, and the way of sword, the power of Duan Lingtian's attack was stronger than most of the lower Emperor God's attacks. In an instant, there were only 3 people left out of the 4 people. Whoosh! With a second teleportation, Duan Lingtian appeared in the path of another person. This person was obviously prepared. The moment he saw Duan Lingtian appear, he quickly retreated and did not follow in Hong Li's footsteps. At the same time, after he avoided the attack, he heaved a sigh of relief. Swoosh! Swoosh! After this person avoided the attack, the other 2 people immediately stopped and turned to escape. The 3 of them gathered again and stared at Duan Lingtian fiercely. Of course, although their eyes were fierce, if one looked carefully, it was not difficult to see the fear and panic in their eyes. Obviously, their hearts were not as calm as they looked on the surface. Duan Lingtian, spare me. There is no enmity between us. As long as you spare me, I am willing to give you all of my wealth. I am even willing to promise to be your servant for 10,000 years. One of the 3 people took the initiative to transmit his voice to Duan Lingtian. In his words, he was even willing to be Duan Lingtian's servant for 10,000 years in order to live. He was still young and did not want to die. 10,000 years, even if it was humiliating, as long as he could live, he did not care. His life had just begun. The other 2 people also transmitted their voices to Duan Lingtian, trying to get Duan Lingtian to stop and not kill them. In the Hall of Life and Death of the Myriad Arts Academy, only when both parties chose to cancel the battle would the life and death contract become invalid. Of course, under such circumstances, both parties would have to pay a huge fine to the Hall of Life and Death. Chapter 41-25. Although the 3 of them had followed Hong Li's lead and were overbearing, they had lost their confidence. After Hong Li's death, their inner defenses had crumbled by more than half. Now, in order to survive, they even communicated with Duan Lingtian through voice transmission. However, Duan Lingtian did not care about their conditions. In his eyes, the 3 of them were already dead. When the people from the Monorigin spirit sect attacked the sects and clans of the people around him, did they ever think about the innocent lives of those people? Most of those people had not even met Duan Lingtian before. Even so, they were still killed. Of course, the 3 of them did not represent the Monorigin spirit sect. However, They had accepted his challenge because they wanted to join forces to kill him. Did they want him to give up on killing them? What a joke. I'll try my best to send all of you on your way to accompany Hong Li and Wang Yunxing in 10 breaths. Duan Lingtian replied indifferently to the three of them, begging for mercy through voice transmission. Then, he teleported again. The expressions of the three changed drastically. They did not flee separately but joined forces to deal with Duan Lingtian. It had to be said that they had made the right decision. With the three of them working together, they would not be defeated one by Duan Lingtian. In the face of Duan Lingtian's attacks with the 7 Orifices exquisite sword, the three of them joined forces and managed to withstand the attacks for a short period of time despite suffering from internal injuries. However, as Duan Lingtian attacked again and again, their internal injuries continued to worsen. After a few breaths, they began to show signs of defeat. Duan Lingtian, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. One of them was furious. He charged forward and allowed Duan Lingtian's 7 Orifices exquisite sword to pierce through his body. He used all his strength to suppress the power of the 7 Orifices exquisite sword so that it would not destroy his body. As for himself, he risked being hit by the sword to attack Duan Lingtian. However, under such circumstances, Duan Lingtian only chose to let go of the 7 Orifices exquisite sword and teleported away from his original spot to avoid the desperate blow from his opponent. Then, Huang appeared with the 7 Orifices exquisite sword in her hand. With a shake of the sword, she killed the person in front of her. In the blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian only had 2 opponents left. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian teleported again and stood shoulder to shoulder with Huang. He calmly stared at the 2 people in front of him. With a wave of his hand, Huang became one with her sword and returned to Duan Lingtian's hand. There were only 2 of them left. Even if they joined forces, they would not be able to stop Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian casually swung his sword, and within 2 breaths, he had killed the remaining 2. At this point, the 5 people who were confronting Duan Lingtian had all died in the life and death arena. As the instigator, Duan Lingtian stood with his sword in his hand. The sword in his hand shone brightly, and there was not a trace of blood on it. Duan Lingtian's purple robe was the same. It was as if there was not a speck of dust on it. In fact, whether it was Duan Lingtian killing Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the Monorigin spirit sect, or the other 4 people of the Monorigin spirit sect, the killing process added up to less than 20 breaths. After Duan Lingtian entered the life and death arena, most of the time was delayed by waiting at the beginning and the process of Yuan Dongchun probing his sword soul with his saber soul. Until the last Monorigin spirit sect disciple fell in the life and death arena, there was still a dead silence. Dead. All of them were dead. The 5 people of the Monorigin spirit sect, including the strongest holy son, Wang Yunsheng, were all dead. All of them are dead. Hu Lanqi, the strongest disciple of the Monorigin spirit sect in Myriad Arts Academy, muttered one of the 2 disciples beside him with a lingering fear on his face. The other person heaved a long sigh. Fortunately, we didn't go with them to find trouble with Duan Lingtian. Otherwise, we would have been in the life and death arena today. Duan Lingtian has a high-grade complete soul divine sword. Even with the 3 of us, I'm afraid he won't be the one to die. Hu Lanqi's expression changed when he heard their words. Fear and dread flashed in his eyes as he looked at the purple figure in the arena. If Duan Lingtian did not use a high-grade complete soul divine sword, he might not be stronger than Wang Yunsheng. However, when he used a high-grade complete soul divine sword, he killed Wang Yunsheng in an instant. Even if he was able to kill Wang Yunxing in an instant because Wang Yunxing had been frightened by the full soul high-grade divine sword he had taken out, even if that wasn't the reason, with Wang Yunxing's strength, he probably wouldn't be able to last more than 5 breaths of time. He's too strong. If I were to fight him and he used a high-grade complete soul divine sword, I might not even be able to last more than 3 breaths of time. Hu Lanqi's heart trembled. While the group of people was still staring blankly at Duan Lingtian, Hu Lanqi transmitted his voice to the 2 people beside him and left first. Hu Lanqi did this because he was afraid Duan Lingtian would provoke them if he was not satisfied after killing the 5 Monorigin spirit sect disciples. At that time, If Duan Lingtian challenged them to a life and death arena, they would naturally not dare to accept. Instead of staying and embarrassing themselves, they might as well leave now. Of course, they had other things to do. Currently, 5 disciples of the Monorigin Spirit Sect had died in the Myriad Arts Academy, including Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the Monorigin Spirit Sect. They had to report this matter to the Monorigin Spirit Sect. In fact, not long after Wang Yunsheng's death, someone from the Monorigin Spirit Sect discovered that his soul pearl had shattered. However, before the Monorigin Spirit Sect could send a message to inquire, the soul pearls of another 4 disciples of the Myriad Arts Academy shattered one after another. It was only at this time that they realized something big had happened. The Holy Son, Hongli, and the other 3 were all killed by Duan Lingtian of the Myriad Arts Academy. Duan Lingtian of the Myriad Arts Academy might not be stronger than the Holy Son, but he relied on a high-grade complete soul divine sword to kill the Holy Son, Hongli, and the other 3. How can a medium divine emperor possess a high-grade complete soul divine sword? Someone must have lent it to him, right? As far as I know, the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Arts Academy, Yang Yuqin, is his senior brother. Did Yang Yuqin give it to him? Yang Yuqin's high-grade complete soul divine weapon isn't a sword. Then Yang Yuqin must have lent it to him. There's a rule in the Hall of Life and Death at the Myriad Arts Academy that one can't use a high-grade incomplete soul divine weapon or a high-grade complete soul divine weapon in a life and death duel. One can only use one's own divine weapon. That Duan Lingtian broke the rule, right? If that Duan Lingtian didn't break the rule, we can only suffer in silence. After all, the Holy Son and the other 4 died at the hands of Duan Lingtian after signing a life and death contract. However, if Duan Lingtian broke the rule, he must pay with his life. The Monorigin Spirit Sect was in an uproar after the news spread. The leaders of the Monorigin Spirit Cult also held an emergency meeting under the leadership of the cult leader. During the meeting, an old man became the target of many people. Vice Sect Leader Liu, I heard that the reason Duan Lingtian challenged Wang Yunsheng to a life and death duel was because you sent people to attack his friends and family in the lower plains? A middle-aged man with a hooked nose asked in a deep voice as he glared at the old man. He was aware of this matter. In the past, he did not say anything because this was how most people in the Monorigin Spirit Sect acted. However, this time, because of this incident, it was naturally different from the usual. That's right, Vice Sect Leader Liu. You didn't do a clean job, did you? How did Duan Lingtian find out? Vice Sect Leader Liu, you should have asked me to help you with this matter. I never leave any traces behind when I do things. The old man was none other than the Vice Sect Leader of the Monorigin Spirit Sect, Lu Tianfeng, who had sent people to the lower plains to attack everyone related to Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Lu Tianfeng's expression was not very good. Although Wang Yunsheng was not the holy son of the Monorigin Spirit Sect, he was involved in this matter, so he had to take responsibility. However, although his expression was unsightly, he was still calm. I can guarantee that the people I sent out did a clean job and did not leave any traces behind to point to the Monorigin Spirit Sect. Based on what I know so far, it's all Duan Lingtian's speculation. The reason he guessed the Monorigin Spirit Sect had something to do with our code of conduct and reputation in the past. Before you blame me, you should ask yourselves if you haven't done something like this before. If you haven't done something like this before, you're qualified to blame me. If you have, you're not qualified to blame me. As soon as Lu Tianfeng finished speaking, the group of people who were still criticizing him fell silent. They had all experienced something like this before. Even in the past, many people had guessed the Monorigin Spirit Sect was the culprit, let alone this time. However, even if those people retaliated against the Monorigin Spirit Sect, it did not hurt the Monorigin Spirit Sect at all. However, it was different this time. This time, the Monorigin Sect's losses could be said to be unprecedented. A holy son was dead. The holy princes were usually the most outstanding existences among the younger generation of the Monorigin Spirit Sect. The Monorigin Spirit Sect had high hopes for any of the holy princes. For example, the current sect master of the Monorigin Spirit Sect had been one of the holy sons in the past. In addition to holy son Wang Yunsheng, The other disciples of the Monorigin spirit sect who had died in the Myriad Law Academy's life and death hall were also the cream of the crop among the younger generation. They were all godly, venerable seedlings. None of the Monorigin spirit sect disciples who were sent to Myriad Law Academy were mediocre. If they were mediocre, Myriad Law Academy would not have accepted them. At the head of the table, the Monorigin spirit sect's sect master, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. His cold snort reverberated in the meeting hall, causing everyone to fall silent, including Lu Tianfeng, the deputy sect master. All the senior members of the Monorigin Divine sect present looked at the sect master with a solemn expression. Chapter 41:26. What's the point of shirking responsibility now that things have come to this? The Monorigin spirit sect's sect leader said indifferently, now that we've received news from Myriad Law Academy, what we can do is to send someone to confirm that the high-grade divine artifact in Duan Lingtian's possession truly belongs to him and isn't borrowed. Upon hearing this, an elder from the Monorigin spirit sect asked in confusion, Sect leader, didn't the teacher on duty in Myriad Law Academy's Hall of Life and Death already confirm this matter? The Monorigin spirit sect's sect leader said indifferently, the teacher on duty in Myriad Law Academy's Hall of Life and Death is Yuan Dongchun. Yuan Dongchun is good friends with Yang Yuchen, the Vice Palace Master of Myriad Law Academy. We can't rule out the possibility that he's shielding Duan Lingtian. Therefore, we'll have to confirm this matter ourselves. If we can confirm that the high-grade divine artifact really belongs to Duan Lingtian and isn't lent to him temporarily, then we can forget about it. After all, Wang Yunsheng, Hong Li, and the others signed the life and death pact willingly. However, if it's confirmed that the high-grade divine artifact in Duan Lingtian's possession was lent to him temporarily, then Myriad Law Academy will have to give us an explanation for this matter. Vice Sect Leader Lu, you and your disciples will have to make a trip to Myriad Law Academy personally. The Monorigin spirit sect's sect leader looked at Vice Sect Leader Lu Tianfeng and said indifferently, you must seek the truth in this matter. He then reminded Lu Tianfeng, if you don't seek the truth and Myriad Law Academy finds a third party and confirms that you're messing around, then it'll be the Monorigin spirit sect's fault. There's no need to play tricks on the surface. Otherwise, you'll only be lifting a rock and smashing your own foot in the end. It shouldn't be difficult for you to understand my words. Lu Tianfeng nodded in response. Don't worry, sect leader. I know what I'm doing. He knew what to do and what not to do. Even if Duan Lingtian was the one who sent people to exterminate the families and sects of his friends and family, it was not something that could be seen on the surface. As long as there was no evidence, Duan Lingtian and the others would at most suspect that it was the people of the Monic spirit sect who did it. No matter what, Duan Lingtian now had the backing of the Myriad Arts Academy's Vice Palace Master. While the higher-ups of the Monorigin spirit cult were holding an emergency meeting, inside the Myriad Arts Academy's Hall of Life and Death, the deathmatch between Duan Lingtian, Wang Yunsheng, Hong Li, and the others was finally over. Duan Lingtian, relying on his high-grade divine artifact soul, killed Wang Yunsheng and the others one by one. Since then, the entire Myriad Arts Academy knew that Duan Lingtian had a high-grade divine artifact soul. Moreover, it was not the kind that was temporarily lent to him. It was completely his own. I really didn't expect Duan Lingtian to have his own high-grade divine artifact soul. Wang Yunsheng, Hong Li, and the others died unjustly. Yes, they died unjustly. If they knew that Duan Lingtian had a high-grade divine artifact soul, they would never have accepted Duan Lingtian's deathmatch challenge. It can't be helped. It can only be said that Duan Lingtian hit it too deeply. In the past, I heard that his performance at the Seven Prefectures banquet was amazing enough, but at that time, he didn't use his high-grade divine artifact soul. It can only be said that in the Seven Prefectures, among the younger generation under 10,000 years old, no one can make him use that divine artifact. Didn't they say that he came from the lower planes? Where did he get a high-grade divine artifact soul from? He must have obtained the inheritance of an expert. His divine artifact should have been used by some godly venerable expert in our mysterious gangland in the past. Moreover, It's the kind of divine artifact that has a mature spirit and intelligence that can be inherited by others. This luck is simply heaven-defying. Not to mention the inheritance of a godly venerable expert. Even if someone obtained the inheritance of a supreme expert, they might not be able to obtain a high-grade divine artifact soul with a complete high-grade divine artifact soul. Duan Lingtian, who had already made a name for himself in Myriad Arts Academy, was once again in the limelight in Myriad Arts Academy. At the same time, many people felt pity for the 5 people from the Monorigin Divine Sect. They were all geniuses. They were all godly venerable seedlings of the Monorigin Divine Sect. But this time, they all fell into the hands of Duan Lingtian. The Monorigin Divine Sect has always been vengeful. I'm afraid they won't let this matter go. Many people felt so. So what if they won't let this matter go? They have conflicts with Duan Lingtian. Even Duan Lingtian suspects that the Monorigin Divine Sect made a move against the forces of his relatives and friends in the lower dimensions. Otherwise, why would Duan Lingtian challenge Wang Yunsheng to a life-and-death duel? I think so too. Duan Lingtian had the intention to kill Wang Yunsheng the moment he challenged him to a life-and-death duel. It's obvious that he wants to avenge his friends and family in the lower planes. In order to avenge his relatives and friends, Duan Lingtian did not hesitate to reveal the high-grade divine artifact soul with a high-grade divine artifact soul that he had never shown in front of others before. In any case, this matter happened after the life and death duel was signed. Even if the Monorigin Divine Sect is at a disadvantage, they can only suffer in silence. At least, they won't dare to act recklessly on the surface. Yes, they won't dare to act recklessly on the surface. As for behind the scenes, even if Duan Lingtian didn't do this, they might not let Duan Lingtian off the hook. Duan Lingtian should be aware of this, which is why he did not hold back and killed the 5 disciples of the Monorigin Divine Sect. The Monorigin Divine Sect had suffered a great loss this time, and it caused a sensation in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. Of course, many people felt that the Monorigin Divine Sect had only themselves to blame for suffering such a loss. If they had not provoked Duan Lingtian first, why would Duan Lingtian target Wang Yunsheng and the others? If there's a chance, I'm afraid Duan Lingtian won't let any of the disciples from the Monorigin Divine Sect go. Someone said, I'm afraid someone from the Monorigin Divine Sect will come. Although the life and death duel is over, they will definitely come to verify whether Duan Lingtian's high-grade divine artifact soul is his. Some people who knew about the relationship between Yuan Dongchun, the teacher on duty at the Hall of Life and Death, and Duan Lingtian's 3rd senior brother, Yang Yuqin, thought so. Soon, the people from the Monorigin Divine Sect arrived at the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. 2 people came from the Monorigin Divine Sect, an old man and a woman. After the 2 of them contacted the higher-ups of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace, the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace asked Yang Yuqin to contact Duan Lingtian and ask Duan Lingtian to go over and verify whether the high-grade divine artifact soul was his. You still want to verify it? Duan Lingtian couldn't help but frown when he received the message from his 3rd senior brother. Yuan Dongchun, who was on duty at the Hall of Life and Death that day, is a good friend of mine, Yang Yuqin said. The Monorigin Divine Sect probably thinks that Yuan Dongchun is biased toward you, Yang Yuqin said via voice transmission. Therefore, they came this time to verify it personally. You don't have to worry. Even if they verify this matter, they won't dare to lie. We can find a 3rd party to verify this matter. After listening to Yang Yuqin's words, realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. It was no wonder that teacher Yuan Dongchun had advised him out of goodwill and was very patient during the process. It turned out that he had a close relationship with his 3rd senior brother. I'll come over to pick you up now, Yang Yuqin said. All right, Duan Lingtian responded. After a dozen breaths of time, Yang Yuqin arrived, and the 2 of them went to meet the people from the Monorigin Divine Sect. 2 people from the Monorigin Divine Sect came this time. One of them is the vice leader of the Monorigin Divine Sect, Lu Tianfeng. On the way, Yang Yuqin said to Duan Lingtian, Lu Tianfeng is a mid-level ultimate god and can be considered a ruthless character in the Monorigin Divine Sect. According to some rumors I received, It's very likely that he was the one who sent people to annihilate the forces your family and friends belong to in the lower planes. Of course, it's just rumors, and there's no concrete evidence. It's very difficult to find evidence for this kind of thing. Although Yang Yuqin said there was no concrete evidence, a cold killing intent flashed in Duan Lingtian's eyes. As the saying went, there's no smoke without fire. Even if it was just rumors, he felt that the vice leader of the Monorigin divine sect, Lu Tianfeng, was unlikely to be innocent. The person who came with Lu Tianfeng is one of his disciples who's already a lesser ultimate god. The other party is a female, and the artifact soul of the full soul prominent divine weapon in her hand is also a female. This time, she'll be the one to verify your artifact soul. Yang Yuqin continued. Yang Yuqin's face was calm from the beginning to the end because he knew his good friend Yuan Dongchun was not biased toward his little junior brother. His little junior brother's artifact soul did not have the aura of a second person. It belonged to his little junior brother. Of course, a few days ago, when he found out that his little junior brother had killed Wang Yunsheng and the others with a full soul high-grade divine artifact, he was shocked. He never thought that his little junior brother would even have such a thing. However, on second thought, he felt relieved when he thought about his little junior brother's achievements before he was even 1,000 years old. His little junior brother was an existence with heaven-defying luck. At least in the history of their internal palace, he did not know of a second person who had achieved the same achievements as his little junior brother at his age. Anyway, it's just a formality. They won't dare to act recklessly in the myriad jurisprudence palace. Yang Yuqin said. Duan Lingtian nodded, and the killing intent deep in his eyes gradually disappeared. Lu Tianfeng, the vice leader of the Monorigin divine sect, a medium ultimate god. Such an existence could not be shaken by the current him. If Lu Tianfeng were to seize the opportunity, he would be crushed to death with just a flick of his little finger. There with Vice Palace Master Yu, Yang Yuqin continued. We'll go there directly now. Vice Palace Master Yu? Duan Lingtian raised his eyebrows. One of the two Vice Palace Masters of the branch of Legacy? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.